Here is my official Patreon. Please join it because there are many stuffs that I can't share here because of community guidelines. But on my Patreon page, you will get adult Harry stories, Naruto, and Deca 2. Also the quick access for other parts of my story which might take time on YouTube. Also there are many stuffs you will get here. Please consider joining my Patreon. Link in the description.
Hey family, welcome back to my video. Today we will see what if Naruto was Op Dragon Prince. Before we start, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the original author of this story for granting us permission to use it in our YouTube video. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. The author's creation and the original story's link in the descriptions. Please do check that first. Now enjoy the video. Naruto was in complete pain. He was currently carrying a beaten and bloody Sasuke over his shoulder. Sasuke had left the village in search of power. Tsunade had sent him, Neji, Chuji, Kiba, and Shikamaru after Sasuke to bring him back to the village. Naruto had done this to keep a promise to Sakura. A little ways away, Kakashi Hatake saw Naruto with the Uchiha over his shoulder. He scowled. He had seen the fight Naruto and Sasuke had. He had seen Naruto use the Rasengan to beat Sasuke. Why Jiraiya taught him an A-ranked jutsu to him and not Sasuke, I'll never know, Kakashi thought bitterly. When we get back home, I'm putting you on a diet, Naruto groaned as he hefted Sasuke's weight on his shoulders. Because of the fight they had, Naruto was weak and was having a little trouble walking. Kakashi noticed and mentally a smile ran across his face. He immediately started doing hand signs. Pakken, one of Kakashi's summoning dogs who was helping him track the two, noticed what Kakashi was doing. Kakashi, what are you doing? What are those hand dash? Pakken started to say but was cut off when Kakashi ended the summoning. Naruto started to hear birds chirping. He had a bad feeling cause he knew that all the birds had left from the damage caused by the fight he and Sasuke had. He looked around and when he found the source in front of him, Kakashi jumped out and slammed a Chidori into Naruto's chest. Naruto fell to the ground coughing up blood. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto coughed, what are you doing? Don't call me sensei, Kakashi spat, you have no right to call me that. Naruto recognized that tone. It was the tone that almost every person in the village talked to him with. A voice full of disgust and hatred. I'm taking Sasuke back, Kakashi said, but you aren't coming back. Why? Naruto asked, more blood coming up from his throat. You died fighting Sasuke, who was driven mad by the curse mark on his neck, Kakashi said. When he killed you he lost consciousness when I found him and you were dead on the spot. Why are you doing this? Naruto asked, feeling betrayed. When Sasuke awakens, Kakashi explained, I'll tell him that he killed you and the final part of his Sharingan will awaken. You're doing this for him? Naruto asked. His face was fallen, then it got angry. You traitor, he growled, if I don't die here I'm coming back for you head. Unlikely, Kakashi said, picking up Sasuke and leaving. More power, Naruto thought bitterly, I need more power to make him pay. Meanwhile, high above the realm of Earth, three women watched this scene with growing hatred. The first was a woman in a white kimono with stars on it. She had black hair and startling blue eyes. The second was wearing a black kimono with skulls on it. She had red eyes and long white hair. The third was wearing a green and brown kimono with leaves on it. She had long brown hair and bright green eyes. In order they were Kami, goddess of heaven, light, and life, Shinigami, goddess of hell, death and darkness, and Tozi, goddess of nature. That is the last straw. Shinigami yelled. Her voice was dark like a shallow grave. I don't know what Minato saw in this village when he saved it. I agree, sister, Tozi said. Her voice was like a soft breeze, but strong and firm. That village had the nerve to ignore Minato's dying wish. And now Minato's own student has killed his son, Kami said. Her voice was heavenly even though she was mad. Her normally calm face showed a rare look of anger. This village has gone unpunished for the last time. The sisters nodded at each other and flew down from their home to help the boy. When they arrived, they found multiple people in black robes with red clouds on them. They Akatsuki had found Naruto. Shinigami smirked. "Hello, boys." All the Akatsuki turned to see the three goddesses. "Who in the name of Kami are you?" one asked. "Don't you know it's rude to stare?" Kami said, noticing some of the looks they were getting from them. "This is a private matter," Itachi said, looking at her. "Stay out of it." "I don't think so, Uchiha," Shinigami said. She charged forward and put 2 fingers on his chest in front of his heart. A few seconds later, Itachi dropped to the floor dead. Kami soon joined the fight. She focused a ray of light in her hands and sent it flying at some of the members. They were disintegrated in the blast. Tozi joined in by controlling the water, earth, and wood around her. She either crushed members with rock, drowned them in water, or pierced them with wood. Even though some of the Akatsuki were considered immortal, they were no match for the power of the goddesses. Soon all of them were gone. Their remains laid on the forest floor, except Madara's, for the wolves and birds to eat. They turned to Naruto's body. "Let's get to work, girls," Kami said. She walked up to Naruto's fallen body and laid her hands on his chest. Her hands glowed brightly and worked their magic on Naruto. Slowly his wounds healed. Naruto slowly woke up and he saw the beautiful faces of the goddesses. "Are you angels?" Naruto asked, getting giggles from the girls. "No, but I rule them," Kami said, making Naruto back up. He looked around and saw the women around him. "Don't worry," Tozi said in a calm voice, "we're here to help you." "Who are you?" Naruto asked, still a little scared. "I am Kami, goddess of heaven, light and life." Kami said, smiling. "I am Shinigami, goddess of hell, death and darkness," Shinigami said with an evil smile. "And I am Tozi, goddess of nature," Tozi said, putting on a friendly gaze. Naruto knew that he was currently standing with the most powerful beings in the universe. He instantly sat up and bowed. "Do not bow, Naruto-kun," Kami said, "you're going to make us blush." "So why are you here?" Naruto asked as he got up. "To help you get your revenge on that village that did this to you," Shinigami snarled. "How?" "We give you these gifts in hope that you will use them to punish evil in the world and to take revenge on the village that did this to you," Kami said seriously. "All right," Naruto said, grinning, "I accept your gifts and the terms that come with them." The three goddesses smiled at Naruto's words. They knew what he was thinking, and though they knew he thought it would be cool to have such power, they knew he was pure at heart and that he wasn't going to abuse it. "Me first," Kami said, stepping up to the boy. "My gift is the power of light and life. You will be able to heal any wound to the mind, body and soul." She placed her hand on Naruto's chest and a white glow ran over him. Shinigami stepped up next. "Mine is the gift of death. You can cause any injury to whoever is dumb enough to be your opponent." She placed her hand on his chest and a black glow ran over him. Tozi stepped up. "Mine is the gift of nature. You can now control all elements, understand all the animals and insects, and your senses will be sharpened to where they are equal or better to the animals." She placed her hand on his chest and a green glow ran over him. Naruto felt his ears and nose become more sensitive. When he opened his eyes, he noticed that he could see a bit clearer. "That's not all we've got for you," Kami said. She, Shinigami, and Tozi put their hands on Naruto's face. As they did, Naruto's eyes suddenly started to burn. When they lowered their hands, Naruto yelled in pain as his eyes stung from pain. When they stopped burning, he looked at the goddesses quizzically. "What was that?" Naruto asked them. "We gave you a dojutsu," Kami answered him. "We call it the Twilight Eye. It has the powers of all 3 forms of the Sharingan, the Byakugan and the Rinnegan." "What's the Rinnegan?" Naruto asked. "An eye technique that belongs to the Namikaze clan. It allowed them to see sound so they could easily tell where an enemy is in the dark. Tozi explained. Naruto was wide-eyed at that. He had the power of the most powerful clans in Konoha. Want to see it? Tozi asked, taking out a mirror. Naruto nodded and focused chakra into his eyes. He took the mirror from Tozi and looked into the mirror. The whites of his eyes had turned black, the iris was a forest green, and pupil was always changing colors. The pupil was also in the shape of a star that you find on a compass rose. Now for our next gift, Kami said as she and her sister placed their hands on Naruto's forehead. Naruto felt an electric surge through his brain. Then before his eyes he saw jutsu. All kinds of them. Kenjutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, all of them. Even ones he had never seen. You know now every jutsu there is, Tozi said as they removed their hands. As a bonus you don't have to use hand signs for them. Naruto grinned as he started to comprehend the power he now held. And now, Shinigami said, for our final gift. She held up her hands and closed her eyes. As she did, the sky blackened and lightning struck. What is she doing? Naruto thought as he watched. Meanwhile, the village hidden in the leaves was waiting for the return of their precious Uchiha. That idiot better bring Sasuke home, Sakura said, huffing. He promised me he would. Ino was standing next to her waiting, but she wasn't waiting for Sasuke. She was waiting for Naruto. In the beginning she had a crush on Naruto because he had helped her when she was being picked on by some bullies. She was originally shy, but after Naruto helped her she became more outspoken. The only reason she pretended to have a crush on Sasuke was that it kept her close to Sakura so she would have a friend. Hinata was with them along with the others who were waiting. She was nervous as she waited for Naruto. She had a crush on him since the beginning because he had always shown determination and strength. She found that very admirable. I knew I shouldn't have counted on that idiot, Sakura yelled, getting impatient. That loser always messes things up. Why, you shouldn't talk about him that way, Hinata stuttered, getting annoyed. He could hurt you if he wanted to. Oh please, Sakura scoffed, that loser wouldn't dare hurt me. I'm his Sakura-chan. Hinata let out an inner growl. She really wanted to grab Sakura by the neck, rip out her throat and dangle it in front of her. I'd listen to her, said a familiar voice. They turned to see Gaara of the desert with Temari and Kankuro. With them were Shizune and Tsunade. What are you doing here? Ino asked. We were an insurance policy, Temari said. We were brought here to help the guys who went to get that punk. Good thing we did, 'cause we found that fat guy in bad shape and 3 others in rough predicaments. After they had finished off the sound ninja, they were fighting the sand ninja, brought the leaf ninja back. Tsunade managed to get them in stable conditions, seeing as a lot of them were hurt pretty badly. At that moment Kakashi was coming over the hill. Sakura smiled when she saw Sasuke on his shoulder. Ino and Hinata looked nervous when they didn't see Naruto. Where is Naruto? Tsunade asked Kakashi as he got close to her. He's dead, Kakashi said, getting a gasp from Hinata. He was killed by Sasuke in the fight and he asked me with his dying breath to bring Sasuke back. Tsunade raised an eyebrow. She heard Gaara scoff. There is no way the blonde would lose to that weakling, Gaara said. What are you talking about? Sakura asked, looking at him like he was crazy. Sasuke obviously beat Naruto. He beat you after all. Witnesses say that Naruto weakened you for him. Your sources lied, Gaara growled. The Uchiha fought and lost. The Uzumaki beat me. You're kidding, Sakura laughed. He could fight his way out of a wet exam paper. Everyone except a few people laughed. Naruto's test scores were made public every time he failed. Everyone continued to laugh until Sakura was pinned to a wall by a massive hand made of sand. They all froze as they felt the killing intent that Gaara was giving off. Listen to me, you pink-haired pain in the butt, Gaara growled. When it comes to fighting strong, worthy opponents, I do not lie. The Uzumaki defeated me, not your pathetic Uchiha. Watch your tongue, Kakashi growled. Kakashi, Tsunade said, you said Naruto died. Well, I gave him something and I would very much like it back. She knew that Naruto would want to return her necklace that he had won off her in a bet. What? Kakashi asked, not believing that someone would willingly give the demon anything of value. Liar, she yelled suddenly and punched Kakashi in the face. No, where is he? I killed him with a Chidori so Sasuke would gain the next level of his Sharingan, Kakashi stuttered as he looked at the enraged woman whose features darkened with rage. She gave Kakashi the beating of his life. Tsunade, what are you doing? A civilian asked. That man is a hero for killing the demon. The man was struck down by an angry Kankuro. The puppet user had grown a liking to the kid since he helped his family at the Chunin exams. Jiraiya. Tsunade yelled. Yes, Jiraiya asked as he appeared next to her. Did you get all that? She asked. Jiraiya nodded. Good, she said, now go find Naruto, maybe he is still alive. At that moment thunder struck and the sky turned black. Everyone was wondering what was going on when they heard Gaara groan. They looked at him to see a look of pain on his face. Suddenly he glowed a low brown and then a burst of pure chakra burst from his stomach. The chakra formed Shikaku, who threw back his head and roared. Then he turned into a stream of chakra and flew away. Jiraiya managed to get over the shock and ran after it. All over the elemental nations the same thing was happening with other Jinchuriki. They felt pain and then the monster inside them burst out and shot off. Luckily the ones who held them survived. Though they would be sore for a few days. All the streams formed together and headed for one location. With Naruto he was wondering what was going on. Then he saw the streaks of light and they all came down and slammed into him. He yelled in pain as he felt the chakra merge with him. What was that? He grunted as the pain faded. For our final gift, Kami said, we merged you with the other Biju along with the one you already have. You now have all their powers. But what about Dash? Don't worry. The ones who contained them survived and they still have the powers they had when they contained them. Suddenly a portal opened right next to them. What's that? Naruto asked. That, Tozi explained, is where you're going. Someone there has been wanting to see you for a long time. He is an old friend of your family. How will I know him? Naruto asked. Believe me, he is impossible to miss. Naruto turned to enter the portal when Kami stopped him. One last thing, she said. She suddenly lunged forward and captured Naruto's lips. Naruto was thrown back by the sudden lip lock but closed his eyes and started to kiss her back. After the kiss was broken, Shinigami came up and kissed him. When she was done, Tozi did the same. We'll be waiting for you, sweetheart, Kami said with a giggle. Naruto nodded and entered the portal. Let's go, girls, Shinigami said, next stop Konoha. So Naruto has become incredibly powerful and the goddesses are on their way to Konoha. They are in for a whole new world of hurt. Heaven help them. See you next chapter. To a new world. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Chapter 2, Into a New World. Konoha was eagerly waiting for the return of Naruto. Some of them wanted to see their friend again. Others though just wanted to see him executed for what he did to their precious Uchiha. Gaara had cooled his jets a bit and had let Sakura down, and Sasuke had woken up from his little nap. Plus Kakashi had woken up from his beating by Tsunade. After some time of waiting, Jiraiya returned with a pale look on his face. Jiraiya, Tsunade said, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. The Akatsuki, Jiraiya panted, they're dead. What? Tsunade said, clearly shocked at the news. I found their bodies, Jiraiya explained, well, what was left of them anyway? They were either crushed, pierced, drowned, or in some cases vaporized. What about Naruto? Tsunade asked, worried for the little kid. I looked all over and I didn't find him. I can only assume that Naruto has killed the Akatsuki. Even Itachi died. What? Cried Sasuke. The only reason Sasuke wanted power was so he could kill his brother and avenge his clan. As much as I would love to say it was, said a new voice, Naruto didn't kill them. Everyone turned to face the new voice and were shocked to see Kami. Soon Shinigami and Tozi joined her. Who are you and why are you here? A random civilian asked. I know why, another civilian said, stepping up to Kami. They were sent by Kami as a reward to us by hurting the demon and to praise us for killing it. Isn't that right, honey? He grinned at Kami with a lecherous grin. A lot of the other villagers thought this too. Some of the males were eyeing the three up and down, thinking of perverted things they could do to the girls for their rewards. This caused a great deal of shock when Kami's calm face turned stormy as she lifted the villager off the ground and threw him with the slightest of strength to the other side of the village. Filth, Kami spat in disgust. You think that because you hurt someone you should get a reward? We should, a civilian cried. That demon is gone because of us, so we should be rewarded. You wouldn't know a demon if it bit you on the foot, Shinigami said. Who do you think you are? A angered civilian. To show them, Kami summoned a ball of light in her hands. Shinigami brought out a ball of darkness and Tozi made the forest around her come to life. The three goddesses, Kakashi gasped. Who else do you think killed the Akatsuki? Tozi asked, making the civilians gasp. You did that? Hinata asked, now slightly afraid of the three women in front of the village. Well, I killed Itachi, Shinigami said. These two took care of the rest. Except for Madara, he wasn't there. Chidori. Shinigami didn't even have to break a sweat brushing of the Chidori that Sasuke had sent at her. How dare you kill him? Sasuke raged. No one takes away my reason for living. Do you hear me? No one. Shinigami threw Sasuke aside with a negligent swipe of the hand. Why are you hurting the Uchiha? Hamura asked as the old woman went to help their precious Uchiha. Pathetic, Shinigami said, even now you lick that weakling's feet. You can't talk about Sasuke that way. Sakura yelled, angry at this woman who dared to hurt her love. You'll soon see the error of your ways. Tozi said, but we aren't here to fight, we are here to give you a message. The Uzumaki lives. He's alive? Hinata asked happily. Ino smiled at that. Yes, Kami said, feeling the positive responses to what her sister said. We have sent him to another world where a friend of ours is waiting. There Naruto will grow strong. He will be the most powerful ninja on this entire planet. For those of you who befriended him, you will be forgiven for your sins against our Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun? Sakura yelled, how could you love that loser? Sasuke is obviously better than him. You will see when he returns, Kami said, getting annoyed with the pink-haired girl. He will return after 3 years of training. When he does, be ready for him to rock your world. The sisters turned to leave when a certain Uchiha spoke up. Give me that power, he ordered. What did you say? Shinigami asked. That power, he repeated, I want it. I deserve it more than that loser. Kami lost her cool and picked him up by the shirt. You don't deserve anything you've been given. She barked. Kami drew back her arm and slammed her fist into Sasuke's face, sending him flying like a rag doll over the village. He crashed into a wall and collapsed. Darn you! Sakura yelled. She charged forward with intent on actually hurting the woman. Pretty stupid if you ask me. Sakura would have reached her if Hinata hadn't reacted and used a Juken strike to knock her out. She felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see her father, who had a proud look on his face. I'll tell you now, Tozi said, you will pay for your crimes very soon. With that said, the three women disappeared in a bright flash of light. leaving the villagers to stew in what had just happened. Meanwhile, with Naruto in the other world, Naruto had stepped through the portal and gasped at what he saw. This world almost looked exactly like his own. Same trees, same sky, same sun, same forest. He saw many animals running between the trees and he heard the buzzing of an insect's wings. He sighed. He had only felt this kind of peace when he was relaxing at Tsunami's place in Wave Country. Then Naruto heard a scream. He sighed again. It may have been a different world, but it looked like it still had some of the same problems. Before he started searching though, he decided to get rid of his leaf headband since he wasn't part of that village anymore. Thanks to his enhanced hearing, Naruto was able to find the source of the scream. He found what looked like a camp of bandits. What Naruto saw next really made his blood boil. They were cages with a few girls inside of them. One of them pulled one out that was probably no older than 8. Her hair was bright pink and her brown eyes were filled with fear. "Don't worry, kid," the bandit said, "it'll only hurt at first." The little girl whined slightly as the other bandits laughed. Naruto growled. He knew he couldn't just charge in there. Those guys would use the women too as an insurance policy, so he wouldn't do anything. Shikaku's power should come in handy here, Naruto thought. He focused on the ability he saw Gaara used in the Chunin exams. He focused hard and said, "Giant Sand Burial." His voice was heard by the bandits and women who looked around to find the source. Suddenly a pillar of sand shot out of the ground and knocked the bandit holding the little girl off his feet. Then sand shot up out of the ground and wrapped around all the bandits. They didn't even have time to scream before they were pulled underground. Then there was a pulse and the ground shook. The girls looked on in shock at what had just happened. The little girl slowly got up. Naruto decided to make his appearance. She turned and saw him. She looked a little scared and backed away. However, when Naruto smiled at her, the fear evaporated and she smiled back. Naruto walked up to the cage the other girls were in and got a good look at them. One had green eyes and red hair, one had blue hair and brown eyes, and the last was blonde with blue eyes. Naruto smiled slightly as he took out a kunai and destroyed the lock on the cage. Almost as soon as the cage was open, he was tackled by the women. "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you," the red-head woman said as she crushed Naruto in a big hug. He would have told her to let go cause she was crushing him, but his face was currently stuck in between her breasts. The other girls hugged him as well, rubbing their faces against his face, chest, and shoulders. "You're welcome," Naruto said as he was finally let out of the death hug. "Who are you exactly?" "My name is Sally," the red-head said, "the blonde is Sarah, the brunette is Alexandra, and Pinky here is Carrie." "My name's Naruto." "That's a funny name," Carrie giggled. But got a scowl from Alexandra. "That's no way to talk to the guy who saved us," the brunette growled. She turned to Naruto. "Sorry, my sister is always a little bit of goofball." "So where do you live?" Naruto asked. "Our village isn't that far away," Sally said, "you can stay with us for a while. Plus while you're there we can get you some new clothes." Naruto looked down at his outfit. He was still in the clothes he wore when he fought Sasuke. There was the matter of the burn marks and the hole in the shoulder from the Chidori he took. "I don't want to be a hassle," Naruto said. "Don't worry," Sarah said reassuringly, "it's the least we can do after you saved us." Naruto nodded, agreeing with them. As they left they were unaware that someone was watching from above. "So you're the one they sent for me," a deep voice said, "very interesting." Naruto followed the girls until they found their village. It was a small village made mostly of huts and small buildings. As they walked into the village, 2 guards stopped them. "Girls, you're safe," one of the guards said, smiling at them. When he noticed Naruto he looked a little uneasy. "Who is this?" he asked. "This is Naruto," Sarah said, "he's the guy who saved us from those bandits." "Good thing they were about to hurt Carrie." The guard growled slightly. He knew that those bandits were filthy, but he never imagined this. He also knew since the bandits had been stopped that they would return in greater numbers. He had to tell the leader. "Come with me, all of you," the guard said. They all followed him to a fancy-looking hut. Inside he saw an old man in fancy robes. "My lord," the guard said, "the females the bandits took have been returned, but the bandits will be back." The leader lowered his head. "We will not be able to withstand another battle with those bandits." "He can help us," Kari said, looking at Naruto. "He's an awesome fighter." "Can you fight?" the leader asked. Naruto nodded and the leader smiled. "The bandits will be here by nightfall," the leader said, "be ready by then." With that they were dismissed. After they left, Sally pulled Naruto into a clothing store. Naruto looked around for a little bit until he found some clothes that fit him. He picked out a black shirt that had a red fire symbol on the back. He also got a white jacket with a dragon symbol on the left shoulder. He got some baggy black jeans and a pair of blue sandals. While he looked around the store, he found something that didn't belong, a sword. "What's this doing here?" he asked the store owner. He was a bald fat man. "This was found outside the village years ago," the store owner explained. "It is said that it was made from a fang of the dragon god Bahamut, and only someone of incredible power can draw it from its sheath." Naruto put his hand to his chin as he thought. He reached out and took the sword from its place. "What are you doing?" the store owner asked. As Naruto placed his hand on the sword. Then, to the shock of the store owner, he drew it from its sheath, and the blade was something to behold. The blade was a deep golden color and it shone like a sun. The blade was curved and was in the shape of a fang. Meanwhile, a figure high above the world smiled. "He has found the sword," it thought. "Excellent. How much?" Naruto asked. The girls had shown up and were entranced by the sword. "Free of charge," the shop owner said, "and good luck in your fight tonight." Apparently everyone knew about him going against the bandits tonight. He noticed that people were looking at him and whispering things. As he got with the guards, he summoned a rock to sit on. The guards looked at him shocked and then they smiled. As all this happened, Naruto had to wonder. What was going on back home? In Konoha. "What do you mean the daimyo cut of our budget by 40%? Danzo asked as the council was in uproar. During the course of the day things had gone from bad to worse. Apparently the three goddesses had sent word of what had happened to multiple daimyos and to their allies. The fire daimyo cutting off their budget was only one blow. Next came from Gaara, who was Kazekage of his village. He cut off his ties with the village form assistants to trade routes. The next blow was from the Land of Spring. It was originally called the Land of Snow, but after Naruto brought back their princess and activated a heat generator in the mountains, the name changed. Princess Yuki not only cut off ties with the village, she also took her contract for her part in the movie Ika Ika Paradise and tore it up. Jiraiya actually fainted at that cause he was hoping such a pretty girl would be in his film. The next blow was from the Waterfall Village. They stopped everything with the Leaf Village and put them on their bordering enemies list. They thought that anyone who did that to a hero didn't deserve to be an ally of them. Finally, the Wind and Wave daimyos made sure that the Leaf Village wouldn't have any business in any of the villages in their lands. Things were going downhill for the Leaf Village and fast. "This is all that demon's fault," a civilian councilman yelled. The rest of the civilian council agreed with him. "This wouldn't have happened if you had fulfilled the fourth wish," Tsunade yelled. At that moment Jiraiya arrived. "I looked all over with my spy network," Jiraiya said ashamed, "but there's no sign of him anywhere." "Why are we even bothering?" Shikaku Nara said. "They said that Naruto wouldn't back for 3 years. We'll see him then and only then." "Yes," Kohara growled, "but when that time comes the demon will die." "And you think that the Uchiha will be the one to kill him?" Inoichi Yamanaka asked her. "Yes, because he will have special training," she answered looking at Jiraiya. You will teach the Uchiha everything you know, including the Rasengan, she said smugly, thinking that the sage would do it. That was what shocked her when she felt killing intent rolling of him. No, Jiraiya growled. This council commands that dash. I will never train that spoiled brat. Naruto is my apprentice and he will be my only apprentice. The old woman would have argued more if Jiraiya hadn't disappeared in a puff of smoke. Danzo growled, something like this never would have happened if the brat had been enrolled in my root program. No, Tsunade said, this wouldn't have happened if you had actually shown the boy some compassion. Tsunade left the room with the council yelling at her to come back. Later in the other world, Naruto sat on the rock he had made and waited for the bandits. It had been a few hours since he sat there and he was getting bored. Naruto saw over the hill a bandit army twice the size of what Gato had brought when he had attacked the hidden mist village. Who are you, boy? The bandit leader asked as he and his men got close enough. The guy who's going to stop you, Naruto answered. The bandits laughed and started moving forward when Naruto yelled out, Earth style, rock golem. Naruto slammed his hand onto the ground and sure enough a golem made entirely out of rock rose up from the ground. What magic is this? The bandit leader asked as he and his men started to back away in fear. Naruto smirked as they ran away, but after they were a few feet away they were engulfed in flame. Very nice, young man, one of the guards said, slapping Naruto's back. How did you do the fire trick? Naruto said, that wasn't me. Suddenly there was a loud boom and there was a lot of smoke. The villagers all came to see and were shocked to see a massive dragon in front of their home. Let the one named Naruto step forward, the beast commanded. Naruto slowly stepped forward. So you're the one they sent to me to this world, the dragon said, examining Naruto. Who are you? Naruto asked. The dragon smiled as he replied, I am Bahamut, king of the dragons. Training and return. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Chapter 3, Training and Return. Naruto was sitting in a field with his legs crossed and his hands forming a ram seal. Nearby the girls from yesterday were standing by watching him. With them was a man in mostly white armor with a little gold on the shoulders and gauntlets. He didn't have a helmet, so you could see he had black hair and pale skin. What stuck out though were his eyes. They were a bright gold with a slit black pupils. They watched Naruto with bated breath as he started to give off a golden glow for a few seconds and then it stopped. Naruto sighed in defeat. Don't give up yet, Naruto, the man said, try again. Naruto sighed and tried to focus again. As he did, he thought back to how he ended up in this situation. Flashback. You're Bahamut? Naruto asked, staring at the dragon. Yes, I am, the dragon answered. Why are you here? Naruto asked. To train you, Bahamut answered. Naruto's jaw nearly hit the floor when he heard that. Why me? Naruto asked. Like the gods where you're from, I have seen the suffering you had to go through. I intend to help you get power. Enough to make you the strongest in both this world and the other one. All right, Naruto said, grinning, let's do this. There was a bright flash of gold and instead of the large beast in front of them there was a man in white armor. His golden slit eyes were completely power-filled, like they expected nothing else from the man who used them. Okay, Bahamut said in a normal human voice, we start tomorrow because now it's very late right now and I have had a very long flight here. Okay, Naruto said, where am I sleeping tonight? Here. No, here. With me. No, me. There were many other calls from girls that indicated sleeping with them. Naruto decided on a hut that was on the south side of the village. He slept soundly that night. The next day Naruto and Bahamut started the training. Before you can begin the training, Bahamut said, you must first harness the strength of a dragon. Bahamut crossed his arms as he started to glow a bright golden glow that practically gave off power. I want you to try and do this until you have completely mastered it. End flashback. Naruto had been trying to master summoning the power that Bahamut had used and he was failing miserable at it. Naruto, Bahamut said, you need to focus harder on your objective. The power of the dragon is to protect something precious to you. Think of someone or something that you need to protect. Something that you would give your life for. Naruto closed his eyes and thought. His thought drifted to his friends. The ones who he actually considered his friends and that he would die to protect. Eventually his thoughts went to Hinata. Her smile, her eyes. Slowly it dawned that Naruto had feeling for her and the reason why she always blushed around him hit him like a ton of bricks. Unbeknownst to him he was slowly giving off the power that Bahamut was giving off earlier. Slowly it grew and grew until it looked like a raging fire of gold. Naruto, stop! Bahamut yelled, tearing Naruto from his thought. After the golden fire died down, Bahamut clapped. Congratulations, he said, you have learned to summon the power, now you must learn how to use it. Naruto grinned. First, the human disguised dragon said, you will learn the basic powers. First you must focus energy into your hand and levitate this rock. Bahamut picked a rock up in his hand and it slowly started to float in his palm. Naruto picked up the rock and started to focus until the rock started to float. Bahamut smirked at the progress Naruto was making. So how long will this training take? Naruto asked. About 3 years, the disguised being said. What? Naruto yelled. The training will consist of mastering the power you have and the spells that come with it, Bahamut explained. It would normally take someone years to master it, but with your potential it will only take 3. Fine, Naruto groaned. Meanwhile, back in Konoha, Hinata was sitting at Naruto's normal ramen stand Ichiruka's. Ayame had been in a bit of a slump ever since Naruto left. She apparently had developed feelings for him ever since she first met him. Hinata was enjoying a bowl of beef ramen when Ino walked in. This seat taken? She asked. Hinata shook her head in response. Ino sat down and ordered herself a pork ramen. Look, Hinata, Ino started, I know I was never that nice to Naruto, but I do consider him a friend. You do? Hinata asked her with a puzzled look on her face. Ino looked around and leaned in. Can you keep a secret? She asked, getting a nod from Hinata. I never loved Sasuke. The only reason I kept that act up was because I wanted to stay close to Sakura because she was my only friend. Then who is the true point of your affection? Ayame asked, who was sounding a bit happier than usual. I love Naruto, Ino answered. I've had a little crush on him ever since he saved me from some bullies when I was little. Looks like we have a common objective, Hinata said, to find Naruto and make him ours. What's going on? Said a familiar annoying voice. They all turned to see Sakura standing in the doorway to the stand. What are you two doing here? The Banshee asked Ino. Shouldn't you be with Sasuke while he heals? I'm not into Sasuke, Sakura, Ino said, taking a bite of her ramen. What? How can you not be interested? Sakura asked. He's Sasuke. He's one of the best ninja in the village. He's a spoiled brat, Ayame growled. He's not worth all the hype he's been given over the years. You guys have a thing for Naruto, Sakura realized. That's crazy. Sasuke's a lot better than that loser Naruto. I really doubt he's even into you, Sakura, Hinata said. He's probably lacking downstairs. Shut up. Sakura growled. I bet he's really packing under there, and with his stamina I bet he could take me for nights on end. She started to get a dreamy look in her eyes. If you were a man, Ino said, and gay. Sakura growled and charged at Ino. Ino responded by jumping up and throwing her bowl of ramen in her face. Sakura screamed as the hot broth slammed into her face. Hinata came next with a few Juken strikes to her stomach, and then Ayame took out a frying pan and brought it down on Sakura's forehead. The result was the pink Banshee losing consciousness. What was that supposed to do? I am, asked Hinata, referring to the Juken strikes to Sakura's stomach. Hinata grinned. My dad let me have a few training sessions with Tsunade, she explained. She taught me the parts of the body. Those strikes left her womb completely barren. Nice, Ino complimented. Sneaky, I am, said. Back in the other world, Naruto had been training for at least a year. He had mastered the basic spells, which included levitating items and using the elements. He was starting to work on the more complex ones. The newest complex one was using his power to summon serpents, dragons and other creatures using the dragon energy, instead of using chakra and seals like a normal ninja. So far he managed to be able to summon normal serpents the size of an anaconda and a dragon of a Komodo dragon. He was working on summoning the animals of the forest. To do it, all he had to do was focus the energy into his hand and focus on the animal he wanted to summon. Naruto focused on summoning a bird. He cheered when he found a robin in his hand. Okay, Bahamut said, now try to summon an eagle. Naruto focused on an eagle while focusing the power into his hand. After a flash he heard a screech and an eagle appeared on his arm. You have mastered the summonings, Bahamut declared. Now time for the second year of training. We will focus on the dragon fighting style. The man go into a fighting stance. This one had his legs spread and bent at knee with both his hands in fist in front of him, one above the other. Copy what I do, he said. Naruto got in the same stance and copied what the Dragon King did. He copied him move for move. Each punch, each move, Naruto copied. Each time he messed up, Bahamut made him do it over again. It took Naruto a year till he managed to master the fighting style. Back in Konoha, everyone else was getting stronger too. Ino had gotten scrolls from her father and had mastered her family jutsu. Hana had mastered her family style as well and was currently developing new moves for her clan. Hinata and Hanabi had undergone Hyuga Sage training. Unlike real Sage training, they didn't get a chakra increase, but they did get a whole new world of fighting moves. Hinata learned this without the knowledge of the Hyuga Council. They wanted to put the caged bird seal on Hinata, but Hayashi wouldn't have it. In case the clan members got any stupid ideas, Hayashi put her through the Sage training so she would be able to kick major butt. The others didn't go as far with training, but they did get much stronger. Unfortunately, Sasuke got stronger too because he was secretly being trained by Danzo, who wanted to have Sasuke under his thumb. Sakura didn't really get better because she was still fawning over Sasuke. Back in Naruto's world, the Dragon King was sending Naruto through his final year of training. The Dragon Sword fighting style. It basically involved using the sword as an extension of the arm. During this time, Naruto learned how to concentrate the spells he had learned into the sword. This meant that Naruto could use the elements to enhance his sword and combine them to form other elements, like wind and water to form ice, or fire and earth to form metal. He also learned some normal sword fighting techniques that, when used right, could be very deadly. Naruto, Bahamut said, your training is complete, but before you go I have one final gift for you. What is it? Naruto asked. I will merge my power with you, he said. Once I do, you will be able to summon my power at will. You will be able to summon me when you want. You will also get an array of powers that will help you. Thank you, Master, Naruto said, bowing. Bahamut took his dragon form and let out a massive burst of fire from his mouth. The flames engulfed Naruto. The girls who had been watching the entire time gasped. Over the 3 years that Naruto was there, he came to love Sally, Alexandra, and Sarah. He was too old for Carrie, but he knew someone from his world who would love her. When the flames died, it showed Naruto in a different outfit. He had on a gold shirt with baggy blue jeans. He had on black boots that had small blades on the back. He had on a white trench coat, with golden flames on the bottom and a silver dragon on the back. Naruto's hair also had some silver highlights in his hair. What got the most attention were his eyes. They were now gold with a black slit pupil. What do you think? Naruto asked the girls who were drooling. So what are you going to do now? Sally asked. I'm going back to my world, Naruto answered. I have a score to settle. We'll go with you, Alexandra said. No, Naruto said, making the brunette pout. This is my fight and mine alone. Are you going to stay there? Sarah asked. No, Naruto said, this is my home now. I want to make this a village like my home. Bahamut can be the leader and I want you to train the villagers who want to fight. Okay? The girls all nodded. Around Naruto's second year of training, the Dragon King allowed the girls to participate in the training. They were allowed to learn the magic and fighting with different weapons. They had become ultimate fighter, even Carrie. She could probably take on a team of ANBU and win. Are you ready, Naruto? Bahamut asked his disciple. Naruto nodded. He turned to the girls and gave Sally, Alexandra, and Sarah a goodbye kiss. After Bahamut opened the portal, Naruto jumped through. Naruto looked around for a little bit. He saw a lake and a familiar-looking village. He was in Wave Country near the Hidden Mist Village. Naruto smiled. It would be good to see Tsunami, Tazuna and Inari again. Naruto found the lake that he used to cross to get to the village and the thick mist that surrounded the village to keep people they didn't want in. Naruto applied chakra to his feet and started to walk on the water. He started off with just walking, but then he broke out into a run so he wouldn't be seen by anyone. He didn't want to know he was back. As Naruto entered the village, he noticed that things had changed since he was last here. The place was bustling with business. The grocery stores had plenty of food and the people didn't look like skeletons. They looked healthy and like they were getting plenty of food to eat. Naruto passed the bridge that he had helped Tazuna build and he noticed a plaque on it. He slowly read it. The Great Naruto Bridge, named after the boy who gave hope and freedom back to our village. A true hero. Ah, they didn't have to name it after me, Naruto thought. He managed to get through the village without anyone from the village recognizing him. He found Tazuna's house and knocked on the door. Coming, a voice said on the other side of the door. The door opened to reveal an 11-year-old Inari. Hello? He asked as he opened the door. When he saw Naruto, he froze. Hey little buddy, Naruto said, giving Inari a fox-like grin. Naruto. Inari yelled, rushing forward and giving Naruto a big hug. Inari pulled Naruto inside and yelled for his mom. Honey, Tsunami asked as she entered the room, what's all the yelling about? Her voice died when she saw Naruto. She also blushed slightly when she saw how handsome he had become. Hey Tsunami, Naruto said. Tsunami rushed forward and nearly crushed him in a crushing hug. Let's wait till Tazuna comes home to start catching up, Naruto said. As Tsunami released him from the hug, we have a lot to talk about. So Naruto is back in his world for the time being until he gets his payback on the village that betrayed him. I plan on bringing Hunter Ninja into the next chap, so get ready for Naruto to show some of his power. Power of the Dragon. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, Challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Oh, and after this story I will do Wrath of the Gods. Now you got something to look forward to. Chapter 4, Power of the Dragon. Later on, when Tazuna came home from work, he looked as though he had seen the resurrection. He practically crushed Naruto in a bear hug. He would have brought out a bottle of sake to celebrate, but Tsunami stopped him. As Tazuna calmed down, he asked Naruto to tell them what had happened and where he was for the past few years. Naruto sat down and started telling them of his adventures in the other world. They all sat listening with interest. The two grown-ups looked like they had been told Naruto could turn rock into gold. Inari had a look of wonder in his eyes. They sparkled with a child's wonder as he listened. To him it was like he was being told a bedtime story. I still can't believe that those leaf jerks did that to you, Tazuna growled, taking a swig of his sake. how can anyone do that to a kid? I know Grandpa, Tsunami said sadly. I wonder if some of them will actually try to repent for their sins? Don't hate all of them, Naruto said, shocking them. Not all of the villagers hated me. Some of the shinobi clan heads actually tried to adopt me, but they were always overruled by the civilian council. The civilians are the ones who always wanted me dead. Why only them? Tazuna asked, raising an eyebrow. I guess the Kyuubi did more damage to them, Naruto guessed, shrugging his shoulders. Well, Tsunami said, getting up, let's not just sit around feeling sorry. I'll go make dinner. As Tsunami left, Naruto pulled Inari to the side. If you want to learn a few ninja tricks, Naruto whispered into his ear, I'll teach them to you. Inari nodded vigorously. Then we start tomorrow, Naruto said, grinning as they all sat down to eat. That night Naruto slept soundly. The next day right after breakfast Naruto started Inari's training. To start things off, Naruto said, I'll be teaching you chakra control. But I don't have chakra, big brother, Inari said. If there's one thing I learned, little brother, Naruto chuckled, is that all living things have energy. Naruto formed a ram seal and told Inari to do that and focus. It took Inari a few minutes, but eventually he felt something. He couldn't see it, but Naruto could with his enhanced eyes. He saw a regular amount of chakra rise up in the boy. Good, Naruto said, you've learned to bring out your chakra, and now for jutsu. He spent the rest of the morning Naruto spent teaching Inari chakra control and some of the basic justice, transformations, clones and substitutions. He promised him that when he mastered them he would teach Inari more. Unbeknownst to them, an eagle was watching them. As it saw Naruto it flew away. Naruto heard the wings flapping. He looked to see the eagle flying in another direction. He smirked slightly. They better not do anything stupid, Naruto thought as he went inside. Meanwhile the eagle flew across the forest, never stopping for at least an hour before it landed on the arm of a man. Said man was a ninja from the Hidden Leaf. He wore the normal outfit of an ANBU except his mask was bland and had a pattern on it. Not the animal look that a regular ANBU had. He also had the leaf symbol imprinted on the forehead. The falcon landed on his arm. Then it turned into a replica of him and it burst into smoke. The man received the memories of his transformed clone and smirked under his mask. He turned around and ran for the Hidden Leaf village. Meanwhile in the Hidden Leaf Tsunade was sitting at her desk doing paperwork. She was so annoyed that if she didn't get some sake in a minute she would go insane. She had a headache and it only got worse when Sakura came in. She had been angry with Hinata, Ino and Iam ever since the incident at the restaurant. She demanded that they be punished for hurting Sasuke's future wife, but Tsunade told her to back off. She never told Sakura that her womb was now barren because it was her idea to do it. Like they say, hit them where it hurts. I want you to train me, Sakura said. What? Tsunade asked. She needed a double take. She could have sworn a genin was demanding something of her obvious superior. I said I want you to train me, Sakura repeated. I need to get strong so I can kick Naruto's butt and then Sasuke will love me. Sakura clasped her hands together and got a dreamy look on her face. That look turned to horror as she felt a bit of killing intent rolling of the old woman in front of her. Get out, Tsunade growled. Sakura actually did something smart for once and ran out of there like a scared rabbit. Tsunade sat back down as her headache started to grow. She really needed an aspirin. It only got worse when a hunter Nin appeared and told her that she needed to call the council because he had info on a serious matter. It took some time but the councils were put together. What's so important? Tsum asked impatiently. She had been in the middle of something and she hated to be interrupted. This guy says he has information on an important matter, Tsunade answered. The ninja stepped up. I have the location of that Naruto boy, he said. Where is he? Hamaru asked him. She wanted to get rid of him as soon as possible. In the end, a team of hunter ninja was sent out to find Naruto and kill him. Tsunade and a lot of the clan heads from the Shinobi Council tried to stop the hunters from being sent out, but the civilian council overruled them and had them sent out. What they didn't know is that Root Anbu were among the team. They were to take the boy back to Konoha to Danzo so he could turn Naruto into his weapon. With their objective clear, they set out for the hidden mist. Meanwhile, Naruto was playing around with Inari when he heard something in his head. "Boy. Bahamut?" Naruto mentally asked. "Yes," the voice answered, "Kid, we got a problem. Your former village has sent hunters out to kill you, but amongst them are Danzo's troops who want to take you back and turn you into a weapon." The reason that Bahamut knew this is because Kami, Shinigami, and Tozi had informed him of Naruto's life. If they hadn't, he never would have taken on Naruto as a trainee. They also told him who it was that Naruto had as enemies and what they intended to do. How he knew that the ninja were coming for him now was that even the smallest of lizards were considered dragons. His spies were all over the elemental countries. Unfortunately, though, his spies weren't the only ones. In the Hidden Sound village, Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto said, getting on one knee, "Our spies have found the Uzumaki boy." "Excellent," Orochimaru said, "go with a team of sound ninja and bring him here. If he really has the power that our spies claim he has, then I can finally become a god among men." Orochimaru's spies had witnessed the incident 3 years ago with the goddesses. Orochimaru had been laying in wait since this power seemed to surpass the Sharingan. In the Hidden Cloud village, "Sir," an ANBU said, entering the Raikage office, "our network of spies in Fire Country has found the boy." "Good," the Raikage said, "tell them to kidnap the boy and bring him here." The Raikage had a few teams in Fire Country. He had heard of what this kid could do and he wanted it for his village. In Wave Country, "I have some business to take care of, Inari," Naruto said as he got up, "tell Tsunami not to wait up on me." Naruto left, leaving a confused Inari behind him. Naruto walked out into the forest looking all innocent and looking like he didn't know all the ninja were around him. He could sense their chakra, smell their sweat, and hear their heartbeats. As they thought they had the advantage, Kabuto came out of the bush to approach Naruto directly. "Hello, Naruto," Kabuto said. "Kabuto," Naruto said, "did that pedophile of a master of yours send you here?" "He did," Kabuto stated, "he heard of the power posses and he wants it." "Right," Naruto deadpanned, "but first." He turned to the forest and yelled, "All right, you pathetic excuses for hunters. Come out so I can see you." As if obeying a command, all the ninja sent out appeared in front of Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki, the leader of the Leaf Hunters, said, "You are hereby under arrest for abandoning Konoha and are to be brought back of execution." "No," said the leader of the Kyumo ninjas, "he is to be brought back to Kyumo so we may breed his power through our village." "You're both wrong," Kabuto said, "he is going to be sent to the Sound village so Orochimaru may take the power that is his." The Root Anbu among the Leaf Hunters did not say anything because they did not want to blow their cover. The teams continued to argue until they were shut up by a sudden flex of power. They found that the energy was coming from Naruto. "Why don't I answer the orders for you?" Naruto said, forming a ball of chakra in his hand. "How about I don't go with any of you?" Lightning style, Thunderball. Naruto unleashed the electric attack on Kabuto, who dodged it easy, but the Sound ninja who was behind him wasn't so lucky. He was shocked and burnt to a crisp. The Leaf Hunters tried to grab him, but Naruto willed the trees to come to life. The branches of the trees came down and either pierced them through the heart or struck them in the head, crushing their skulls. The Kyumo ninja came next. They met the same fate, only Naruto made he ground form fists and had them crushed like insects. The Sound ninja tried to grab him, but Naruto did the last thing they expected. He brought out the Twilight Eye and using the power of the Sharingan burnt them all in black flame. Now only the leaders were left. Naruto faced them, his Twilight Eye blazing. "Now I want you to go back to your villages," Naruto said, his voice growing dark and angry. and tell your leaders that if they come after me again they will face the power of the Dragon Prince." In their fear the leaders ran for their lives. They each went in separate directions to their villages. They knew they had to pass on the message to their leaders. The leader of the hunters reached Konoha first. He ran straight into the council chambers. Right now they were deciding how to make the Uchiha stronger so he would fight for them again and so he could kill Naruto. "What is it?" Tsunade asked the leader as he burst through the door. "We found him," the leader said. "And you killed him," a pink-haired council woman said happily. "No," the hunter said, "he killed us." They all gasped. "He controlled the earth around us," the man whispered, clearly afraid. "The trees came to life and killed my men. He crushed others with the ground beneath his feet and he was able to perform jutsu, without hand signs. And he now calls himself, the Dragon Prince." The entire council was clearly shocked by the power that Naruto now held. And they had a feeling things were only going to get worse. At the academy Irika was teaching a class when there was a large plume of smoke in the middle of the room. When the smoke cleared to reveal a small dragon-like creature. It was built like a dragon but it had no wings. The children screamed and some of the other teachers jumped back in fear. "Are you Irika?" it asked in a deep gruff voice. "Yes?" Irika answered. "Get away from that thing before it kills you, Irika," a teacher yelled. "My master, the Dragon Prince, wanted me to give you this," the beast said, taking something that was wrapped up in its tail. When Irika took the package from Dragon's tail it camouflaged into the wall and slowly crept out the window undetected. "What is it?" Konoha asked his sensei. "It's the headband I gave him when he graduated," Irika answered, feeling sad. The feeling only got worse when he saw the large scratch that went across it. Meanwhile in the Sound Village Kabuto was currently pinned to the wall by an angry Orochimaru. He had found out about Kabuto's failure. He however was intrigued that Naruto was able to use the power of the Sharingan. Orochimaru let Kabuto down. "Get out of my sight," he ordered. Kabuto did just that. Back in the Leaf Village the dragon was still there. It was still camouflaged so it could search the ground easily without being detected. He looked around the shinobi district until it found a vacant spot. He looked around to make sure no one was looking at the spot and he started digging. His kind was good at that. Since this one was a kind of dragon that didn't have wings, his kind were especially good for running fast and for digging underground. He dug until he found a large pocket in the ground. In the pocket was a large complex. At the center of the courtyard was a symbol, the Namikaze symbol. The lizard dug around until it found a large vault. Using its powerful claws it tore through the metal like glass. Once inside it found a large amount of scrolls. The dragon assumed a human form and sealed the scrolls in his arm. Then it took out a scroll that looked like a Namikaze one, only with a fire-proof seal on it. He took its dragon form again, the seal now on the dragon's front leg. Before the beast left, the dragon let out a massive burst of flame and burned the entire complex. It camouflaged itself again, surfaced, and then ran like heck for the exit of the village, a smirk on its scaly face. Later on a few root Anbu came down from a hole they dug and found the complex burnt. They searched the grounds for anything that could have survived the fire. What they didn't know is that dragon fire is much stronger than normal fire. And everything, bricks and stones burned in the blaze. They eventually found the scroll that the dragon had left. They sighed and took it with them. Later. "Is this all there was?" Danzo asked. "This one scroll?" "Yes sir," the root member said. "A fire destroyed everything." Danzo raised an eyebrow. How can something catch fire underground? Danzo wondered aloud. Danzo sighed and left. He went to the Uchiha district. He found Sasuke and presented the scroll. "What's this?" Sasuke asked. "A Namikaze scroll," the old war hawk answered. "This will help you against Naruto." Sasuke smirked. With the power of the Namikaze he could easily defeat Naruto. Sasuke took the scroll and opened it. As soon as he did, a boxing glove attached to a spring shot out and hit Sasuke right in the face. As Sasuke got up he found a note. To whoever opened this scroll, you are not getting your hands on the power of the Namikaze clan. It belongs to our master and our master alone. So go find some other way to get stronger, moron. With hate, the Earth Dragons. P.S. If you're reading this, Sasuke Naruto is our master. Sasuke growled as he crumpled up the note and threw it. You'll pay for this, Naruto, he yelled. Meanwhile, Naruto was standing at the graves of Zabuza and Haku. Naruto knew that he would need help in fighting the Hidden Leaf. Even with his power he had to find a way to make them shake. You who died to protect some precious, Naruto said slowly, holding out his hands, and you who died to avenge her by the will of Kami, I command you. Wake! The graves shook, and then from the graves Zabuza and Haku rose again. We're alive, Zabuza gasped. How? Haku asked. Then she noticed Naruto. You, she said. She was shocked that this boy was able to resurrect her, but she also blushed at how handsome he was now. How are we alive? Zabuza asked him. I'll tell you everything over dinner, Naruto said as he led them to Tazuna's house. As they listened to Naruto's story, Zabuza looked really mad, and so did Haku. They did all this to a kid? Zabuza growled as he gripped the sword on his Zanbato. Disgusting, Haku spat. She knew the pain Naruto had, but hers was nothing like this. At that moment a dragon made its presence known. Everyone except Naruto screamed when they saw it. They looked a little shocked when it bowed to Naruto. What is it? Naruto asked the beast. My prince, the dragon said, Bahamut sent me on a mission to give the leaf your headband, showing them you had no intent of returning to them. He also had me get these. He unsealed the scrolls on his leg and they fell out. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the Namikaze clan symbol on it. Bahamut will be coming in a few days, the dragon said to the shocked Naruto. Goodbye, my young prince. With those words said, the dragon vanished, leaving a shocked Naruto and company. So Sasuke gets hit, Zabuza and Haku are back, and Naruto has some Namikaze tricks to learn. Naruto does know every jutsu on the planet, but these are moves his father invented. You'll figure it out next chapter when Bahamut comes. Until next time. Family reunion. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, Challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Oh, and after this story I will do Wrath of the Gods. Now you got something to look forward to. Chapter 5, Family Reunion. Naruto was examining the scrolls the dragon had left for him. He saw they were two moves that the fourth Hokage made, the body flicker, and the flying thunder god. The Drago had dropped of the techniques last night, and today was when Bahamut was supposed to arrive. Naruto guessed that they were going to give the clan's secrets to Sasuke. In truth, that made him angry. This guy had betrayed the village, and they were going to give him the techniques of the most powerful clan in Konoha. There was a knock at the door. I'll get it, Inari said as he got up to answer the door. When he opened it he saw a large man with eyes similar to Naruto's. Are you Bahamut? Inari asked the boy. Yes, I am, the man answered. Okay, Inari said. Then he turned and yelled, Big brother. That Bahamut guy is here. Bahamut walked in and saw Naruto sitting on the couch with the two techniques in hand. I see you got my servant's gifts, the Dragon King chuckled. Yeah, why did you send me these? Naruto asked. The three goddesses gave me knowledge of every jutsu on the planet. But they couldn't teach you everything, Bahamut said. These aren't normal jutsu. They are ones that Minato Namikaze made himself. But why would you give them to me? Naruto asked, a little curious. For two reasons, Bahamut answered. 1, they were going to give them to the Uchiha. That would have ruined the clan's name, and 2, they are your birthright. My what? Naruto yelled. So they didn't tell him, the Dragon King thought. It started the day of the Kyuubi attack, Bahamut explained, on that day you were born. Your father was the hero of Konoha Minato, Namikaze. He married your mother Kushina Uzumaki. The day the Kyuubi attacked Minato fought it. To defeat it he sealed it inside of you. Why did he seal it in me? Naruto asked. He thought that the village would see you as a hero for keeping the fox at bay. What he didn't see was that the villagers' fear of the demon you held, that they would do the opposite and try to hurt you. He said this with sorrow in his voice. So what happened to them? Naruto asked, wanting to know about his parents. As you know, your father died sealing the fox inside of you, Bahamut said. Your mother, however, was deceived by Orochimaru into thinking you had died. She is now the Kage of the hidden Whirlpool village. Where is this village? Naruto asked. Not too far. Just a few miles from here, the Dragon King answered. You're going to go see her. It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Naruto answered by getting up and heading for the door. Be careful, the Dragon King called after him. The Whirlpool ninja are incredibly strong. Naruto ran out the door. Bahamut sat on the couch for a few moments before Naruto came back in. West, Bahamut said as Naruto opened his mouth to ask him which direction the village was. Thanks, was all Naruto said as he ran out the door and headed west. Naruto ran for what felt like hours until he sensed something. He stopped abruptly. He could hear footfalls in the forest and he sensed that he wasn't alone. Almost as soon as he stopped, a bunch of kunai. Naruto turned toward the shuriken heading toward him and yelled, wind style, bursting wind. A huge gust of wind hit the shuriken and stopped them from moving and they fell to the forest floor. The ninja decided to make themselves seen and they leapt from their hiding places. Naruto noticed that they looked like Anbu, only on their headbands they had a picture of a whirlpool. You guys are from the Whirlpool village, aren't you? Naruto asked, playing stupid. We are, said the Anbu captain. What does it matter to you? I have business with your Kage, Naruto said. Why would you have business with her? The captain asked. I have news regarding her son, Naruto said, sensing the surprise from the captain and his team. Come with us, the captain ordered. With Naruto in tow, the team went to the waterfall village. Naruto saw that this place was a lot like his own village, except the academy building was bigger and instead of a monument to immortalize their leaders they had a walkway of green diamond with their names under them. Naruto noticed that the academy tested on more than just academics. They tested on ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu and kenjutsu. Apparently they trained all who wanted to be masters in what they wanted to be. The Anbu lead Naruto to a large building that practically said, the Kage works here. They lead him inside past the secretary's desk and into an office where someone was sitting behind with the back of the chair facing them. Kage-sama, the Anbu captain said, this stranger says he knows something about your child. What about him? Asked a female voice. He's been dead for years now. What if I told you he wasn't? Naruto asked, what if I told you that you were tricked into thinking that he was dead? He sensed the shock from the woman in front of him. What if I told you that he's standing right here? Kushina spun around to face him. For the first time Naruto saw the face of his mother. She had pale skin and long red hair. Her eyes were a sparkling green that shone with the experience of a fighter. As Kushina looked at the boy in front of her, she saw the face of her late husband. And Naruto? She asked, stuttering. Hi mom, Naruto said, smiling. Naruto. Kushina cried as she jumped over the desk and crushed her son in a hug. She had tears of happiness rolling down her cheeks. The Anbu were shocked. They too had their Kage's son had been dead as well. They now saw that he had a resemblance to Minato. They probably never guessed it was him because of the golden eyes. Kushina hugged her son with the intent of never letting go, but she had to because Naruto needed to breath sooner or later. Anbu, Kushina said, get the rest of the family. They are going to flip when they see you. The ANBU left to go get whoever it was Kushina had sent for. After a few minutes the ANBU returned with 3 people. The first was a redhead with a red shirt, long baggy black jeans and a pistol on a holster under her arm. The second was a blonde with pigtails. She was wearing a green shirt with baggy blue jeans. She had a katana and 2 revolvers on her belt. She and the other girl looked about Naruto's age. The third was a man that looked eerily like Minato. "All right," the redhead said, a little annoyed, "this had better be." Her voice trailed off when she noticed Naruto. The other girl looked ready to faint and the man looked like he was seeing a ghost. No sooner did the shock wear off did the redhead rush forward and hug him tight. The blonde joined her and the man just chuckled as he swept all 3 of them up in a big hug. "Mom," Naruto said as he was let go, "who are these people?" "Naruto," Kushina said, "I'd like you to meet your family." "The name's Jiraiya," the redhead said happily. "The name's Naruka," the blonde said grinning. "And I'm Arashir," the man said, "those 2 are you sisters?" "I'm your uncle." "Cool," Naruto said smiling. "So how have things been in the Hidden Leaf?" Naruto asked. "I bet they treated you like a hero for keeping that monster at bay." Naruto hung his head. "Sister," Naruto said, "you couldn't be more wrong." This got confused faces from the entire group. Naruto started to explain what had happened to him at the village. He told them how he was treated, and how his sensei had betrayed him for Sasuke even when he betrayed the village for power. At the end of the conversation all of them looked like they were ready to go to war with the Leaf Village right then and there. "Those dirty rotten good for nothing." Jiraiya growled. Naruka kept quiet with a look of absolute rage on her face. Arashir looked ready to grab a kunai, go find Kakashi and carve the Sharingan eye out of its socket. Kushina was about ready to burst with anger. After everyone calmed down a little bit Naruka asked something that was bothering her. "Brother," she said, "you said you were left for dead. How did you survive?" "You're gonna want to sit down for this," Naruto said, "it's a long story." They all sat down as Naruto started to tell them what happened after his betrayal by Kakashi. "The Cyclops left me to die, yes, but as I was dying I was found by the Akatsuki members." They all gasped at that. Naruto continued, "However, before they could take the kyubi from my body I was saved by the 3 goddesses." "The 3 goddesses?" Jiraiya asked, "As in Kami, Shinigami and Tozi?" "Yep," Naruto answered, "they saw how I was treated and they got fed up with it. They found me and healed my wounds. After that they gave me a few gifts." "What were they?" Arashir asked. He was clearly curious. Naruto listed them on his fingers. "Kami gave me the ability to heal any injury whether it be to the body, mind or soul. Shinigami gave me the power to give any injury. And Tozi gave me the power to control the earthly elements and to be able to understand all kinds of animals. She also heightened my sense to where they are equal to or greater than an animal's." "I take it that's not all," Kushina said. "Nope," Naruto said, "they also gave me knowledge of every jutsu on the planet and made it so I don't have to use hand signs to use them. They also gave a dojutsu." "What kind of dojutsu?" Arashir asked, getting really interested now. Naruto closed his eyes and opened them again. Everyone gasped at the sight. Naruto's eyes had changed from gold to green, the whites turned black and for an ever-color-changing pupil in the middle of white compass rose-shaped star. "It's called the Twilight Eye," Naruto explained, "it has the powers of the Sharingan, Byakugan, and the Rinnegan. They also took all the Biju contained by the Jinchuriki and merged them with me so I have all their powers. Oh, and the people they came from are still alive and they still have the powers they were given as well." Everyone looked about ready to faint. They had no idea that someone had so much power. "But that's not all," Naruto said, "they also sent me to a new world. There I have started my own village. Not only that I trained under the Dragon King Bahamut. Now I can use magic and use summons that don't require chakra. At that moment, with all the information that they had been given, they did the only thing that they could do. They fainted. "Oh brother," Naruto said aloud. After a few hours everyone woke up and they were eager to see if Naruto really did have the power that he said he did. "Why don't you fight me, Naruto?" Kushina said, surprising her son. "I think I can take whatever you got." "Okay," Naruto said hesitantly, "but I warn you. I'm tougher than I look." Naruto and his mother made their way to the academy. She informed the teacher that she was going to fight this young man. She didn't say it was her son because she wanted to save that little shocker for later. Both of them got in a kenjutsu stance and charged at each other. The people who were watching were surprised that a little kid was able to keep up with a Kage. Naruto matched his mother for every move that she made. Naruto suddenly jumped back and made 3 clones each with a sword. All the Narutos rushed forward and all cried out, "Crescent Moon Dance." All the clones rushed up and brought their swords down on Kushina. Luckily for her, she managed to block the techniques with her own sword. After she knocked the clones back, she went through hand signs and yelled, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." 3 more Kushinas came into existence. Naruto smiled as he and his clones battled against Kushina and her clones. Eventually the clones dispersed and Naruto and Kushina jumped back. Kushina went through hand signs and yelled, "Water style, water bullet." A large ball of water formed in her hands and launched it at Naruto. To respond, Naruto didn't move. Right before the water hit him, the ground in front of him shot up and formed a wall in front of him, blocking the attack. Naruto jumped over the wall and yelled, "Lightning style, thunder ball." A ball of lightning formed in Naruto's hands and he shot it at Kushina, who barely had enough time to dodge. Unfortunately, a tree that was right behind her wasn't so lucky. Poor tree. Kushina was about to retaliate, but Naruto beat her to the punch. He focused on the power that Bahamut gave him and called out, "Fire Dragon Roar." The gold energy around him turned flame red and turned into a dragon momentarily. Then Naruto sucked in a large amount of air and let it out. The result was what sounded a massive roar that shook the ground and sent a massive fire blast at Kushina. She barely dodged it and the move was heading for Naruto. Luckily the flames died right after it missed Kushina. Kushina would have done something else, but Naruto used Gaara's powers and wrapped her arms and legs in sand. "Do you submit?" Naruto asked her. "Yes," Kushina sighed, "I submit." The students were in complete shock and so were the family. Hearing what Naruto could do was one thing, but seeing it was another thing entirely. "Good fight, my boy," Kushina said as the sands around her limbs left. "Thanks, Mom," Naruto said. Later that day, Kushina stood before her people with her family, with her Naruto included. "People of Whirlpool," she said, "as you know, my son had passed away years ago when the Leaf Village was attacked by the 9-tailed fox." The villagers murmured amongst themselves. "I have since learned that that was false information." The villagers gasped when they heard that. "My son survived," Kushina continued, "and has been forced to suffer at the hands of the Hidden Leaf. 3 years ago he was betrayed and left to die. From the ashes of that pain he rose up and took the form of a warrior with incredible power. Today my son, Naruto Uzumaki, is with us." The villagers cheered at that. They all knew of Naruto and some of them were pretty upset when they found out that he was dead. This was like an early Christmas for them. "However, he cannot stay," Kushina said sadly. "He has started his own village, the Hidden Mage Village. We have formed an alliance and they shall forever be our allies. But the Hidden Leaf has fallen from my graces. If you come across a leaf ninja, kill them so they may know that Whirlpool is alive and that we are no friends of theirs." The villagers cheered. They could get some payback on that stain that they called a village. Suddenly there was an ANBU next to her. "Lord Kage," he said, "we have captured a man snooping around our borders." "Bring him here," Kushina said, upset that someone had interrupted something like this. The ANBU brought forward the man who was snooping around. It was someone that Naruto never thought he would end up seeing again. Pervy sage? Family reunited and mother versus son. I hope that was an interesting fight. Now if you're wondering, it is Jiraiya they found, and he is going to be hurting at the end of this. Old love and new lovers. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Oh, and after this story I will do Wrath of the Gods. Now you got something to look forward to. Oh, and if I ever mess up on any information from the show, do me a favor and let me know right away. I know I'm an idiot. Chapter 6, Lost Love and New Lovers, Jiraiya? Hello Naruto, the Toad Sannin said, a little nervous. What are you doing here, pervy sage? Naruto asked, clearly not amused. I heard that you had come through this way and that you had stopped at some mystery village, so I decided to stop by and see you, the old sage said. Yeah right, Kushina said, getting the old man to look at her. Kushina, Jiraiya gasped, you're alive. I have been, old man, Kushina grunted. Some of the ANBU were about to go through with Kushina's earlier orders when Naruto stopped them. Let this one live, he said, I want him to deliver a message to Konoha. He lifted Jiraiya up and looked in his eyes. Listen closely, Naruto said slowly, I want you to tell the council that they will be seeing me again soon. And tell them that when I get back, all who hurt me will be squashed like the bugs that they are. Oh, and tell the Aburame clan that I meant no insult. I was trying to get my point across. Okay, Jiraiya said. He knew that when the time came for Naruto to get his payback, that he didn't want to be in his way. Oh, and another thing, old man, Naruto said right before he drew back his arm and hit the Sannin in the face with incredible strength. I take it that was for not being there for you like I should have, Jiraiya groaned as he got up, clutching his face. No, Naruto corrected, that was for throwing me off a cliff when we were training, and for taking all my money when we were looking for Tsunade. This is for not being there for me when I should have. Naruto picked the old man up by the collar, threw him up in the air and then kicked him hard in the family jewels. Then he punched him in the face, sending him flying out of the village. Now go deliver my message, Naruto yelled. Oh, and tell Hinata I said, hi. Jiraiya got his butt out of there before someone else did anything to him or his gift from Kami. He threw you off a cliff? Naruka asked. He's an idiot of a teacher, Naruto replied, shrugging his shoulders. He spent another few hours in the village with his family. When the day was done, Whirlpool had formed an alliance with the Dragon Village, Naruto's new village in the other world. After the treaty was made, he left back for Wave. Meanwhile, in Konoha, in the council chambers, Sasuke was making demands. Demands that had the shinobi head angry. You want what? Some growled at the arrogant little runt. I want you to teach me your secrets, Sasuke said. Sasuke knew that he didn't have enough power yet to kill Naruto, so he was trying to get the shinobi clans to hand over their special jutsu, and he was failing miserably. What makes you think we will give you anything? Said an irate Inoichi Yamanaka. I'm an Uchiha, Sasuke answered, smirking. I deserve to know the secrets of the clans, and after I learn your secrets I'll take your daughters. At that moment some clan members had to hold Tsum, Dan, Nagarashi, Inkoichi, and Hayashi back from going down to the brat and killing him on the spot. That is a ridiculous request, said the Aburama clan head. Need his name please? I need them so I can revive my clan, Sasuke said. Truthfully, he only wanted them so he could produce strong Uchiha children that he could control. And after they couldn't reproduce anymore, he would just use them as his personal toys. He does deserve to revive his clan, said a pink-haired councilwoman. Shut your mouth, Haruno, Tsum barked. Things probably would have gotten worse if Jiraiya hadn't appeared in a puff of smoke. Jiraiya, Hamaru said, grinning, I see you have finally come to your sense and agreed to train the great Uchiha. A few of the shinobi clan members silently groaned when they heard this. What was wrong with the civilian council and the advisors they would never know. I'm still not going to train this spoiled brat, Jiraiya said, "Anyway, I have a message from Naruto." The entire council turned to listen. "He says that he will be making an appearance to you soon, and when he does he will crush all who have hurt him like the insignificant insects that they are," Jiraiya said, getting gasps from the council. Jiraiya then said, "Oh, and he didn't mean for that insect bit to be an insult to the Aburama clan. He's just trying to make a point." With the message delivered, the Toad Sannin disappeared. Later on, certain clan heads were currently meeting at the Hyuga complex. "What are we going to do?" Dan Nagarashi asked. "I don't want my daughter to be married to that spoiled little runt." "Same here," some growled. "I'd rather have my daughter turned into breeding stock than have her turned over to that worthless piece of trash." "I agree with you on that note, Sum," Hayashi said. He didn't want his daughters to be hurt. He knew Hinata liked Naruto and Hanabi was still too young to marry. Plus, with what the Uchiha were known to do with their women was just terrifying to think about. After a few hours of conversing, they managed to come to a joint agreement. They called for their daughters. The girls all arrived quickly. To Hayashi's surprise, Hanabi wasn't there. "Where is Hanabi?" Hayashi asked. "She's busy," Hinata said. "I believe she may have found a new boyfriend." It was true. Over the past few months she had met Konohamaru. The two didn't get along at first, but over time they grew to like each other. The kid had managed to ask her out a few days ago and they had been seeing each other ever since. "Anyway," some said, "we have a bit of a problem." "Sasuke?" Hana asked. It was more of a statement than a question. "Sasuke," Dan said. "What does he want now?" Ino asked. Personally, she was starting to wonder what her so-called friend Sakura saw in him. "He wanted the clan's secrets," Hayashi said, getting a low growl from the girls. "And you girls." As soon as he finished that sentence, looks of disgust crossed all their faces. "We have come up with a way to get you out of his reach," Dan said, spiking the girls' interests. "What is it?" Tenten asked. She already knew the answer though. "We plan on sending you to Wave so you can be with Naruto," Inoichi said. "You want us to go be with Naruto?" Hana asked. The clan heads nodded in response. The girls were silent until Hana broke the silence. "Yes," she cried out. The other girls grinned at each other happily. This got a few shocked looks from their parents. "What was all that about?" Hayashi asked. "As you know, Naruto hasn't really been the most popular with the girls," Hinata started, "save for a select few, us. You all have feeling for him?" Some asked, looking shocked at her daughter. "Yep," Hana said. "But how did you all fall for him?" Hayashi asked, really wondering how Naruto managed to get these women to fall in love with him. "Well," Hana said, "I saw him training once. He trained himself till his chakra was depleted and he tried to summon more. His resolve and determination are very impressive. Let's face it, Mom, you don't see that in very many men." Some nodded at that. If there was one thing an Inuzuka liked, it was a guy with a lot resolve and who wouldn't give up easily. "In my case," Ino said, "it would be that Naruto helped me out once. When I was younger he saved me from some bullies who were hurting me. Naruto came in, beat them up, and took me to the hospital for my injuries. So that how that happened," Inoichi said, smiling, but then he got curious. "Wait, if you liked him, why did you go after Sasuke?" "I only did it 'cause it linked me and Sakura," Ino answered. "Sakura was one of my only friends and I wanted to stay close to her." Inoichi nodded. When Ino was younger she was actually quiet and shy, so she didn't have many friends. Sakura was one of the few people she could call a friend. Until recently, that is. "My case is the same as Ino's," Tenten said. "Dad, remember when barely anyone came to our store and we almost had to close it?" Her father nodded. "Well, I told Naruto about it and he brought the Hokage to the store. After that, business was good again. He saved our business. Plus he also has more heart than anyone I know." He spared Neji despite what he did to Hinata. I find that very admirable. Tenten got stars in her eyes as she thought about it. My reason started at the academy, Hinata said. During her training she managed to get over her stutter. I always saw how Naruto wouldn't give up. It was my inspiration to get stronger so I could prove myself to him. Hayashi smiled when he heard that. Naruto had not only gotten Neji to turn himself around but to get Hinata to get a drive to grow stronger. He was an amazing boy. So when do we leave to see him? Hana asked smiling. We leave tonight, Hayashi said. The girls went to get packed for the trip. If they had looked though they would have seen the chameleon appear on the wall and slip out the window. That night, the families got ready for their daughters to leave. They girls hugged their parents and said goodbye. Before they could get to the front gate however they were stopped by a bunch of ANBU. Root ANBU to be exact. The leader was wearing a dog mask and had gravity-defying silver hair. Guess who? What are you doing? Dan asked drawing his sword. By order of the council, the leader said, Kakashi obviously, these women are to be wed to the great Uchiha. Over our dead bodies, Tsum growled at him flexing her claws. Just as the ANBU were about to move and strike one of them heard a low growl from the alley nearby. He moved closer to examine when a large claw shot out and pulled him into the darkness. The others heard his scream and looked to see the ANBU missing. The others were also confused as to what happened. Hello, said a new voice. They all turned to face it to see a tall man. Who are you? Kakashi asked. The man didn't answer. Instead he started to glow a bright gold. The energy formed a dragon with growled menacingly at the group. I'd move if I were you, the man said as the dragon rushed forward. Only Kakashi and Naruto's allies got out of the way before it hit. Kakashi was scared of this new arrival and ran away. Who are you? Tsum asked impressed with the newcomer's abilities. Bahamut, the man answered, King of the Dragons. The man took his dragon form and lowered himself down. Get on, he said, we have far to go and very little time. Where are we going? Hinata asked. To see Naruto, the Dragon King answered. Meanwhile Insuna Temari was riding on the wind using her fan. She had a huge smile on her face as she did. She had a reason to be happy. A few years ago when she was in the Hidden Leaf village she had run into a certain blonde. She noticed how strong and brave he was. After he had helped her brother and her family she had fallen for him. She just never had the guts to tell anyone. It was a good thing she finally managed to tell Gaara because her father, Baki, wanted her to marry some dude from another nation because he saw that she wasn't doing anything. Blind moron. She was remembering what had happened and the conversation she had with Gaara later on. Flashback. What? Temari cried at what her father was saying. You heard me, Baki said, since you haven't been of any use to the village lately I will find a use for you. You will be wed to a wealthy man in Kyumo. That way we will gain an ally and you will have some use. Temari was completely furious. The only reason she hadn't been of use to the village was because she wasn't given any missions lately. When Gaara and Kankuro found out she had to restrain them so they wouldn't kill their father. I can't believe he's doing this, Temari said on the verge of tears. Kankuro had a look of anger on his face and Gaara looked ready to march over to his house and crush Baki in a sand coffin. What are we going to do? Kankuro thought out loud, we can't just go and kill Dad. Plus we can't just up and leave the village. Maybe we can find a safe place for Temari to stay until we find a way out of this, Gaara said wanting his sister to be safe. Temari was deep in thought. She was trying to think of someone she could stay with. She thought about Konoha because it was the last place anyone would think to look. Then she remembered what they did to the boy who helped her family. She mentally smiled at the thought of Naruto. His eyes, his smile, everything about him. It was then she remembered what the three goddesses said. What about Naruto? She asked. He has proven to be an invaluable ally, Gaara said, projecting his thoughts a little. But we don't know where he is, Kankuro said, putting a damper on things. But I do, said a new voice from nowhere. Who's there? Kankuro asked, reaching for one of his puppets. A servant of the Dragon Prince Naruto, the voice said, an ally of mine will lead you to him tonight. Be ready by midnight. After the voice had finished, they heard the sound of scales scraping against stone and then silence. The three got ready to leave, immediately. One midnight came, the three were out in the desert. They were wondering where this ally was when they saw the sand shifting and heard a low growl. Suddenly the sand spiked and shot off in one direction. They followed it as fast as they could. End flashback. Temari was gliding on her fan with Gaara floating on a cloud of sand with Kankuro riding it with him. As they followed the sand, Temari grinned when she imagined the look on their father's face when he realized they were gone. HSE also began to wonder how Naruto had changed over the 3 years he had been gone. In Wave, Naruto was sitting on the couch with Sally, Alexandra and Sarah. Naruto had brought them from the other world a few hours ago so they could meet the women from his world. Bahamut's chameleon spy had told him about what the girls were planning to do and what Sasuke planned to do. Naruto was upset, but when he found out that all the girls liked him, he mellowed out a little. Naruto then decided to bring the other girls so that they could all meet and so that the girls from his village wouldn't get upset when they met and say that he cheated on them. They also brought Carrie along, and it was funny with what happened when she met Inari. Naruto chuckled at the memory. Flashback. Naruto had just opened the portal to his new village in the other world. The girls all stepped out. After introductions were made, Carrie noticed Inari. Hi, I'm Carrie, she said, stepping up to him. I'm Inari, he said, a little nervous that he was talking to a girl. He may have been older, but he still didn't have much experience when it came to girls his own age. Carrie walked around examining him as if he were something of interest, and Inari was starting to feel a little uncomfortable under her gaze. Do you have a girlfriend? Carrie asked suddenly. No, Inari said slowly. You do now, Carrie said as she kissed his cheek. Inari responded the only way he knew how. He fainted. The Pinkette giggled and dragged him off to his room. The other people in the room burst out laughing at what happened. End flashback. Inari eventually came down, but he and Carrie both seemed a little flushed. It didn't take a brain surgeon to figure things out. After getting caught up with what was going on at Naruto's new village, Naruto got up to go to the bathroom. Then they heard a knock on the door. I got it, Tazuna yelled. He got up and answered the door. He was shocked to see Hana, Hinata, Tenten, Ino and Bahamut at the door. Tazuna looked a little upset when he noticed the Konoha headbands, but decided to let them in at Bahamut's request. Who are you? Ino asked when she noticed the three girls on the couch. I'm Sally, Sally said. She went ahead and introduced Alexandra and Sarah. They all seemed to get along. At that moment another knock was heard. Tsunami got it this time. She found Temari and her brothers at the door. She let them in and was starting to wonder who these people were. The girls from the other world were starting to get used to seeing these new people. Kankuro tried to flirt with all three but only ended up with a red hand print across his face. Everyone was about to start asking questions when they all heard a familiar voice. Hey, Tsunami, Naruto called from the hall, I think there's something wrong with. His voice was cut short when he saw the people he knew. The girls were all captivated when they saw how handsome Naruto was now. What's going on? Naruto asked. For those of you who wanted Hanabi in the harem, too bad. I decided that Konoha should have a little lady friend. Anyway, this is going to end quicker than I thought I would. Only a few more chapters left. Bye. Training and new allies. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Oh, and after this story I will do Wrath of the Gods. Now you got something to look forward to. Oh, and if I ever mess up on any information from the show, do me a favor and let me know right away. I know I'm an idiot. Chapter 7, Rise of the Dragon. The girls from Konoha and Suna stared in awe at the new Naruto that stood before them. Hinata, who had gotten over her shyness, had a huge blush on her face, Tenten had hearts in her eyes, Hana was staring grinning a wolfish grin, Ino had stars in her eyes, and Temari was practically drooling. Seriously, what's going on? Naruto asked again since no one had answered his previous question. Hinata shook out of her stupor first. We came here to live with you, Naruto, she said, making Naruto smile. She was about to go into why until Naruto stopped her. I know why you and the other Konoha girls are here, Naruto said, turning to Temari, but I don't know why Temari is here. She was going to be forced to marry some rich guy in another nation because she hadn't been doing any missions lately, Gaara said, getting Naruto's attention. Is he really that much of a pain in the butt? Naruto asked, getting nods from the Suna siblings. Well, you are all welcome to stay here until this clears up, Tsunami said as she returned from the kitchen. Thank you, all the girls said at once. The rest of the night went pretty smoothly until Tenten remembered something that Naruto said. Naruto, she said as everyone was finishing dinner, you said that you knew why we were coming. How is that possible? You can thank the lizards that live around Konoha, Naruto said, getting confused looks from the girls. Even the smallest of lizards can be considered dragons, Bahamut explained. I have a few situated throughout the hidden villages. A spy that no one would expect, Gaara said with shock clear in his voice. Now we might want to get to bed, Bahamut said, getting up from the table and looking at the clock. You girls start training tomorrow. But we don't need ninja training while we're hiding, Temari said, getting nods from the other girls. Who said it was ninja training? Naruto chuckled. Without anything else, said Naruto, and the others went to bed. Though the girls along with Gaara and Kankuro wondered what they would be training in. The next morning after breakfast, Bahamut and Naruto lead the girls to a secluded part of the forest. Kankuro and Gaara left after breakfast because they had to get an explanation of what happened to their father. Gaara did say that if he tried to find her and force her to wed someone, he would take care of it himself. In the world I'm from, Bahamut started, there are many beasts that roam the earth. These beasts are led by a king, below them are the lords. I know that some of the people in the villages do not expect greatness from women, but in mine greatness can be expected from the smallest of things. What does this have to do with our training? Temari asked. Getting to that, the Dragon King said, annoyed that she interrupted him. Beneath me are dragon lords who I made contact with a few days ago. Some of them have agreed to train you. Really? Ino asked. Yes, Bahamut answered. The training will go for the span of about a month. But Naruto's training took 3 years, Hana said. Yes, Bahamut said, but a king rules over a lord, so my training took longer. Besides, he had much more to learn. So who will train us? Hinata asked. She was starting to get curious about who she would be trained by for the next month. Good question, Bahamut said. I have based your elemental affinities on who will train you. Hinata, you will be trained by Aelera, Lord of the Water Dragons. You will find her at the Eastern Sea. Ino, you will be trained by Orgus, Lord of the Earth Dragons. You will find him in the Great Canyons. Temari, you will be trained by Jordan, Lord of the Wind Dragons. You will find him in the southern forests, and Ten you will train with Koresh, Lord of the Thunder Dragons. He will be found on the northern mountains. Who will train me? Hana asked. Hana, Bahamut said, you won't be trained by a dragon. Your training will come from Saber, Lord of the Wolves, since you have had training with dogs. You shall find him in the northern forests. Hana smiled. She was going to get trained by a wolf lord. Hey wait, Tenten said suddenly, how come those other 3 don't have to train with us in the other world? Because, Bahamut replied, they trained a little with Naruto when he was training with me. The girls looked at each other. It looked like all of them had gotten a chance to grow strong. They just hoped that the training by their new teachers wasn't too gruesome. When you are ready, I will transport you to the part of my world where you will find them. You will train there for a month, but here it will only be a few hours, Bahamut said, getting confused looks from the girls. How is that possible? Ino asked. The portal that will bring you there will bring you back a few hours after, so it'll be like you never left. Ready? Naruto asked, unsheathing his sword. The girls all nodded. Naruto brought his sword up and brought it down. The swing tore a hole in the air and opened a portal. Naruto then swung a few more times, opening different portals, all to different locations. The girls all entered theirs and the portals closed. And now we wait, Naruto said, sitting down on the ground. In the other world, Hinata was walking along a long beach. She was looking around for her trainer and was having some lousy luck. She had been walking for a good quarter of a mile and she hadn't seen anything. She was about to give up when she saw the water bubbling a little ways offshore. After a few seconds the water burst and something flew toward the shore. The force of the water caused Hinata to fall on her butt. When the water fell, Hinata saw something that took her breath away. Above her floated a dragon. Unlike Bahamut's dragon form, this one had a long snake-like body and had green fins on the sides, its head, the edge of its tail, and a long one on its back. Its scales were a deep blue and its eyes were a deep green. Are you Hinata? The dragon asked in a feminine motherly tone. Are you Aelera? Hinata asked, her voice trembling. So you're the one I am to train, the dragon said, looking her over. Not bad for a little girl. There was a swirl of water and in place of a large beast was a beautiful woman. She had light skin, long green hair, and her eyes were still green. She had on what looked like a regular bikini with a sash wrapped around her waist that covered her left leg. She had on a pair of blue sandals. What caught Hinata's eye was the small sword she had crossed on her back. Shall we start? She asked, still using the motherly tone. In another part of the world, Temari was walking through a deep green forest. She was wondering if the Dragon Lord would train her or not. When she found a large field, she felt a gust of wind, then there was a loud crash. She turned around to see a large dragon. This one was built like Bahamut's dragon form, except it was slightly smaller. It had jade-colored scales with yellow membranes on the wings. The creature had small bones on the end of its tail. You must be Jordan, Temari said, a little unnerved at the sight of the large beast in front of her. And you must be this Temari girl, Jordan said. His voice was calm and soft. It sounded like a light breeze could blow his voice away. There was another gust of wind and the dragon was gone. In its place was a tall man. He wore green robes with brown leather boots and a silver headband on his head. He had a long wooden spear on his back. Shall we get started? He asked, his voice still calm. A few miles away, Hana was walking through the woods looking for her trainer. She was starting to wonder if he would ever show. Suddenly she heard something running through the underbrush. She looked around until suddenly she was tackled by 3 furry objects. When she opened her eyes, she smiled widely. It was her 3 combat partners from Konoha. She hadn't taken them with her because they didn't have time to get them. How did you 3 get here? She asked the 3 dogs. I brought them here, replied a deep gruff voice. Hana followed the voice to see a large silver wolf. She was surprised at how intimidating the wolf looked. It had silver fur that shone in the sunlight and deep yellow eyes that had a wild look to them. Judging from their reaction to you, I'd say that you are this Hana girl Bahamut sent for me to train, the wolf said. Hana just nodded. There was a flash of light and the wolf was gone. Instead there stood a man with wild brown hair and wild-looking eyes. He had on mostly blue with black leather boots. He had on gloves with clawed fingers. Let's get started, shall we? Saber said, flexing his claws. Meanwhile, Tenten was not having a good time. She was currently trying to climb a mountain without any hiking gear, and to be honest, she was starting to wonder if this training was even worth it. She kept on climbing and climbing until she found herself on near the top. She was pretty upset when she found that her trainer wasn't there at all. "Where are you? You overgrown flying gecko," she yelled angrily. Big mistake. Suddenly the clouds darkened and purple lightning struck. One of the bolts struck the rocks right in front of her. When the smoke cleared, Tenten's eyes went wide as saucers. In front of her stood a large dragon. This one was built like Bahamut, only smaller but slightly larger than Jordan. His scales were a dark purple and his eyes flashed a bright yellow. He had 3-bone spikes on the end of his tail. "What did you call me?" the Thunder Dragon asked angrily at the insult that Tenten had thrown out earlier. "Sorry," she said apologetically, "I was a little upset when I didn't find you here after climbing a mountain to get here." "Fine," the dragon said, rolling its eyes. There was a flash of thunder and the dragon was replaced with a man. He was tall and slightly built. He had on purple robes with brown leather boots. He had long black hair and deep eyes that seemed to burn through your skull. On his back he had a long broad sword. "Do you want to start training or what?" Koresh asked, raising an eyebrow. Meanwhile, Ino was walking slowly through a canyon. She was hoping that she would find her trainer soon. Otherwise she would go thirsty since she didn't pack any water. You think she would have packed some before coming to a canyon? I mean, seriously. Anyway, she was starting to think that he wasn't going to show when she had a loud thudding. She turned to the noise and she started to feel the ground shake. Then there was a large shadow cast over her. She turned to see a large golden dragon. This one was really different from Bahamut. He was built more largely and he had no wings. His tail had a spiked club on the end and his legs looked strong enough to cause an earthquake if he stomped. "I take it you're this Ino girl Bahamut told me about?" Orgus asked. His voice was baritone and sounded like a rumble. "Why yes, I am," Ino said, slightly afraid of the beast. There was a golden flash and a large man now stood before her. He had brown hair and a long brown beard. He wore bronze armor that covered his chest, shoulder, shins and forearms. He had a large battle axe set on his shoulder. "Let us begin," Orgus said, his voice still deep in human form. Over the next month the girls learned a great multitude of things. They learned how to summon their affinities and how to use them in combat. They also gained a weapon that went with what style they learned. Temari got to keep her fan since it went with what Jordan was teaching her. Hana got clawed gloves that were capable of ripping through the strongest armor. Tenten got a long sword that she could wield in one hand. Hinata got twin swords like Alira's. Ino got an axe like the one Orgus had, only it was slightly smaller so she wouldn't have to strain to lift it. Although some of Orgus' training included strength training so she wouldn't struggle. They all learned incredible things, but the thing they learned last is what blew their minds. "I can do what now?" Temari asked Jordan. "You can summon a powerful armor," Jordan repeated. "I causes the true power of your affinity to come out, giving you at least 4 killer moves that can be used to either hurt an enemy or heal yourself and a comrade. All you have to do is focus on the power that you now have and let it flow through you. The armor will also increase your abilities tenfold." "Can Naruto summon armor?" Temari asked. "Yes," Jordan answered, "his armor is more powerful since it was given to him by the Dragon King." Meanwhile, with their trainers, the girls were being given the same speech. To say they were shocked that they could bring out a weapon that could increase their abilities. This was really going to help them in the future. Then almost simultaneously the lords opened the portals to the girls' world and they left. When they all walked through, they found Bahamut smirking at them while Naruto was fast asleep against the side of a tree. Hinata smiled slightly and walked over to Naruto. She bent over and pressed her lips gently against his. She was about to pull away when Naruto's hand came up and held her head in place. Hinata moaned as they continued to kiss each other. The girls noticed that Hinata's toes were curling, so they knew that it was a good one. Eventually the two broke for air. Hinata was blushing up a storm and walked over to the girls. "So what have we missed?" Hana asked. "Nothing much," Naruto answered her. There was a rustling in the bushes and something came out of the underbrush. There were 5 dragons. Ino noticed that they were like the dragon that trained her, only they were smaller and not as bulky. The dragons walked forward and bowed to Naruto. Then they motioned with their tails to the seals on their backs. It was then that they let out what was on their backs. A body fell from each one. They girls didn't recognize any of them, but Temari recognized one from a few days ago. "Hey, that's that sound ninja from the retrieval mission," she gasped out loud. "Naruto, what are you doing with them?" Hana asked. "I'll show you," is all Naruto said. Naruto took out his sword and yelled, "Healing flame." A golden fire shot out of the blade and covered the 5 ninja. When it faded, they all rose up and some started coughing. "What was that?" the red-head Taiyuya asked. "Not a clue," said Kadamaru, a guy with multiple arms. "Oh, my stomach," the heavy-set man Jirobo groaned, "it feels like I got hit with a wrecking ball." "Oh, that stung," said Yukon. His brother Sukon, who was currently in his Yukon's back, was just starting to wake up. Since he was facing another way, he noticed something with Kimimaro, the team's albino. "You all right, Kimimaro?" Sukon asked. "I feel strange," the albino answered, "I feel different." "You can thank me for that," Naruto said, making the group aware of the other group's presence. "You!" Jirobo yelled. He tried to activate his cursed seal, but, to his shock, it wouldn't activate. "When I healed you from your injuries," Naruto explained, "I had those seals removed. I also cured the illness in the albino's lungs." "But how?" Kimimaro asked, clearly shocked at this new piece of information. "I was told no human medicine or jutsu could cure my condition." "In case you haven't noticed, I'm not exactly human," Naruto said. "Well, at least we don't have to work for the dumb snake anymore," Kadamaru said, shocking the people outside his group. "I thought you liked working for him," Tenten said, surprised. "Are you kidding?" Taiyuya asked, getting up. "That jerk treated us like we were nothing but dirt and he used us as scapegoats. Plus, with those seals on us, he could easily have killed us. How do you think, Kimimaro, go that lung disease?" Naruto let out a mental growl at that. He knew that the snake Sannin was an evil man and that he had a sadistic streak, but he didn't realize it was this bad. "Tell me," Naruto said, squatting, "how would you like to get back at him and that little lackey of his?" At the thought of getting revenge on their snake using former boss, the former Sound Ninja 5 smirked and got evil glints in their eyes. Except for Kimimaro, he never shows emotions. So the girls have met the new Naruto, the Sound Ninja 5 are back and raring to go, and Orochimaru is in some deep crud. I can't wait to see the look on that snake's face when he realizes his own soldiers will be beating the tar out of him. Oh wait, I can, 'cause I'm imagining it now. Oh man, this is gonna be awesome. Dragons vs. Snake. Isam, I own nothing. Oh, and this is a response to a challenge, so thanks for the inspiration, challenger. Don't bother looking him up, I have tried. If he ever sent you a private message, use that. Oh, and after this story I will do Wrath of the Gods. Now you got something to look forward to. Oh, and if I ever mess up on any information from the show, do me a favor and let me know right away. I know I'm an idiot. By the way, sorry about the last chapter taking so long. I was busy with a few things. Chapter 8, Dragons vs. Sound. It had been a few days since the girls had finished their training with the Dragon Lords and the former Sound 5 had been brought back. Since then the Sound Ninja had gotten their strength back and they were stating to get really eager to get some major payback on their former employer. The plan that they had cooked up was simple. bust into the Sound Village and cut down all who stand in their way until they reach Orochimaru. When they get to him, they Sound Ninja would beat him for a little bit and then Naruto would have a go at him. To be honest, if the snake hadn't made Sasuke run from the village, then Naruto wouldn't have been banished, so in a way Naruto was getting some payback too. At the Sound Village things were pretty quiet. Orochimaru was currently planning to go into the village and take Sasuke so he could use him as a body. Kabuto was busy in the lab and all the ninja were busy. Suddenly out of nowhere a thick mist rolled in. "What is going on?" the snake asked as the mist rolled in. The Sound Village wasn't near the sea, so there shouldn't be any mist. Orochimaru suddenly had a very bad feeling in his gut, but he dismissed it as the sweet and sour chicken he had for lunch. "Kabuto," Orochimaru said, "check this out." "Yes, Lord Orochimaru," Kabuto said as he received his orders. Kabuto along with a team of ninja ran out into the mist. They all looked around, but with the mist so thick it was hard to see what was where. The Sound Ninja all looked around until some of them saw a glimpse of movement. When they did, all of them shot off for it. Only Kabuto stayed in place. He had a sudden feeling of doom in his gut. The first of the Sound Ninja looked around until he heard a voice. "Lungs, liver, heart, kidneys," the voice said, "these are only a few ways to die." The ninja looked around scared until he felt a presence behind him. He turned around and didn't have time to scream as a large sword was brought down on his neck. The second of them heard the sound of a body dropping and ran towards it. He was shocked when he saw the body of one of his comrades without a head. The ninja suddenly felt a presence. He turned around just in time for a rain of Sanbon needle to strike him with deadly accuracy. The last four of the team heard a scream of pain in the mist. They all ran towards the sound and found the bodies of the two missing members of their team. "Frightened coward," one of them yelled into the mist, "show your face." The men all heard a slight giggle. They all turned to see what looked like the outline of a girl with her hair tied in two buns. "Mystic lightning," she said suddenly, and bolts of purple lightning shot down from the sky and incinerated the men before they could even scream. And then there was one. Kabuto had heard the screams of pain from the ninja he took with him, and he knew that charging headlong into this mist was a very bad idea. "Hello, Kabuto," said a vaguely familiar voice. Kabuto turned to see Naruto standing right in front of him. "So there you are," Kabuto said, trying not to let his fear show. He had seen Naruto's power firsthand and he knew that unless he could get a sneak attack in. "I know what you're thinking," Naruto said smirking, "and a sneak attack isn't going to work on me." "You do know that even with your power," Kabuto said after the shock that Naruto knew what he was thinking wore off, "you can't fight an entire village alone." "Kabuto, Kabuto, Kabuto," Naruto said, shaking his head sadly, "who said I was alone?" Kabuto raised an eyebrow until he heard a voice yell, "Tremor blast." He spun around just in time for a vertical energy wave that was coming out of the ground to slice him right in half. The blast dissipated shortly after it hit him. At that moment the mist lifted to reveal Naruto's gang, Zabuza, Haku, and the former Sound Ninja 5. The only ones who weren't there were Sally, Alexandra, Sarah, Carrie, and Bahamut. Some of them had gone through a bit of a wardrobe change. Zabuza had on a short-sleeve shirt and loose cargo pants. Jirobo had lost the necklace and had on a black shirt and long pants. He now had a tattoo of a rhino on his left shoulder. Kidamaru, Tayuya, Kimamaru, Sukon and Yukon all were dressed the same. Haku had on a loose shirt and long pants. She didn't have her mask on and she had on a ninja headband. All of the ninja now had a headband that had the symbol of a dragon on it. Sally, Sarah, Carrie and Alexandra wanted to stay at home because they weren't exactly ready to see a lot of bloodshed. Carrie just wanted to stay, because she didn't want to leave her little Inari. Naruto chuckled slightly as he remembered how Inari blushed when Carrie said that. Bahamut hadn't shown up because he had learned of 4 mages in the other world who might be able to help them. That was boring. Zabuza said as he brushed his sword off in the grass. I was hoping these guys would be a bit more fun. You can't always get what you want, Zabuza, Haku said, besides we may find more challenging fighters while we're inside. With that said, the team headed inside Orochimaru's domain. Inside they found a maze of tunnels and rooms. To make sure the newly formed Dragon Ninja 5, formerly known as the Dragon Ninja 5, could still get the surprise on the snake, they separated themselves from the group. Naruto's group saw all sorts of labs that had giant test tubes that had dead bodies in them. They all guessed that the poor souls had all been victims of Orochimaru's experiments. Naruto shook his head with a look of disgust on his face. He was going to take his time taking that snake apart. As they made their way through the lab, they found the snake Sannin waiting for them. So you're the one who has been taking down my men, Orochimaru said. I must say I'm surprised. I haven't seen you for quite some time, Naruto. What? Naruto asked, hoping that I would join you like that arrogant moron Sasuke wanted to do. Since you have a thing for power, Orochimaru said, getting up. Yes, I did. I do want power, Naruto said, drawing his sword, but I want to use it to defend those I care about, not to kill people. Coo, Orochimaru laughed, such a foolish boy. Orochimaru snapped his fingers. As soon as the sound echoed through the room, a ton of sound ninja appeared via Shushin. Naruto chuckled as he nodded. At that moment all of his allies leapt out and started fighting with the sound ninja. Naruto glared at the snake Sannin. Orochimaru opened his mouth and a snake popped out carrying the Nesanji with it. Orochimaru caught it in his hand and the snake drew back into his mouth. With sword in hand, Orochimaru leapt at Naruto, swinging. Naruto took his own sword, which he had christened Silver Dragon, and parried the blow from the snake. Orochimaru growled and tried again. He met the same defense, but this time Naruto brought up his knee in the Sannin's gut and connected his fist with Orochimaru's face. The force of the punch sent him through the wall. Since Naruto had a knowledge of all jutsu, he knew how to use Tsunade's super strength. Orochimaru managed to pick himself up, but he was in incredible pain from the punch he had experienced. Not bad for a little kid, Orochimaru groaned to himself as he got up. Don't think you can rest yet, he heard Naruto yell. Orochimaru jumped out of the way just in time for a massive fireball to slam into the ground where he was standing just a few seconds ago. Naruto then jumped out of the flames and brought his knee into Orochimaru's face with a resounding crack. The snake groaned as he tried to get up but was kicked in the side, sending him rolling across the floor. Orochimaru knew that he was running out of ideas and that Naruto was incredibly powerful. For once in his life Orochimaru felt fear. Orochimaru suddenly bit his thumb and ran it down his arm. Summoning jutsu, he called out. There was a huge plume of smoke. When it cleared, it revealed a massive purple cobra with black stripes and green eyes. What going on, Orochimaru? Manda roared. Did you summon me just to kill this little brat? The boy is stronger than you think, Manda, Orochimaru said. He thought that if he summoned Manda, the snake boss would be able to weaken Naruto to where Orochimaru could absorb his body. The snake Sannin may have been scared of him, but he knew that if he could absorb Naruto's body he would really become a god. All right, Manda growled, but when this is over I expect 100 sacrifice. With that, Manda roared and lunged at Naruto, who leapt into the air and brought his heel down on Manda's head. The result was Manda having his head slammed into the concrete below. Naruto then leapt back and yelled, "Heaven's chains!" Suddenly out of the walls white glowing chains burst. The chains wrapped around Manda and held him in place. As they wrapped around him, Manda hissed in pain. What's going on? He managed to get out. I don't know of any jutsu like this. Let me explain, Naruto said, walking up to the snake boss. This isn't a jutsu, it's a spell. While I was training I learned a lot of them. As the name suggests, these chains were forged in heaven. The heated metal will only burn the flesh of the wicked. Naruto drew his sword to end the cobra when Manda interjected. Wait, let me join you, Manda said, trying to save his hide. I can make you more powerful. Naruto shook his head, no. Sorry big guy, Naruto said, I already have enough power and I don't make deals with evil ones such as yourself. With that Naruto jumped up and drove his sword into Manda's brain. The snake shook for a moment and then collapsed in a heap. Naruto then turned toward the snake Sannin. Why don't you just kill me? Orochimaru asked, a little curious as to why this incredibly powerful boy hadn't just killed him from the beginning. Because, Naruto chuckled, I'm not the only one with a grudge against you. Hello boss, said a deep familiar voice. No, it can't be, they're dead. Orochimaru thought as he turned to see his former elite standing behind him. What's wrong? Jirobo asked, crossing his arms over his chest. Aren't you glad to see us? Kadamaru asked, cracking all of his knuckles, you don't look too happy to see us. Well, we didn't miss you, Taiyuya said, taking out her flute, we just came by to thank you for the heck you put us through while we worked for you. And we have a whole lot of payback to dish out, Yukon said, with his brother Sukon literally right behind him grinning like mad. Kimimaro stayed quiet, but you could tell that he was going to hurt the snake due to the look of absolute malice in his eyes. Since the snake Sannin was currently racked with pain, he could barely move and was helpless. He smirked viciously as he remembered something. You made a big mistake betraying me, Orochimaru said as he managed to form a hand sign. To his shock, nothing happened. What happened? The seals aren't activating, he said, stating the obvious when the group didn't fall over in pain like he thought they would. Simple, Naruto said, getting the snake to look at him, when I brought them back I had those seals removed. You don't have any power over them anymore. Orochimaru would have paled if he wasn't already as white as a sheet. The next few minutes revolved around Orochimaru getting his butt handed to him. Sukon and his brother kept hitting him with multiple limb strikes. Jirobo crushed him repeatedly with his intense strength. Kadamaru used his solidifying webbing to form spikes and stabbed them into the snake's back. Taiyuya hit him with those 3 Oni she summons and had them beat him into the floor. Kimimaro hit him with a bone drill that tore the snake's stomach out. Why they were done with the vicious beating, Orochimaru had survived. He suddenly ditched his body by crawling out of the mouth. He probably would have tried to kill the former sound ninja if Naruto hadn't gotten in the way. Burning execution. Naruto yelled as he slammed his palm into the snake's chest. Orochimaru was sent back and then he burst into black and gold flames. The Sannin's screams could be heard throughout the land of rice paddies. Ah, Taiyuya whined, I wanted to beat on him some more. The tone that she used made her sound like a little girl. If anyone had heard that and didn't know her, they probably would have thought that she was a little girl or a lot nicer than she really was when she was. Sorry, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head, but I didn't want that overgrown snake to hurt my new friends. Point there, Kadamaru said. Naruto walked over to the body and hoisted the body over his shoulder. Get the others, Naruto called to them, we got work to do. Later in Konoha. Things were pretty much the same. Sasuke still thought he was king of the world and Sakura was still blind to everything but him. Although Sasuke was mad when he found out that the girls he wanted had skipped town. He tried to get Tsunade to have them classified as missing Nin, but unfortunately she was talking to Tsum Inuzuka at the time. He was hospitalized with a broken leg and 2 cracked ribs. Kiba was a little upset when he found out his sister left, but he was actually kind of glad. He knew what the Uchiha clans did to their women and he was glad that his sister left. Tsunade was currently doing paperwork, the bane of all Kages, when an ANBU burst through the door. Lady Hokage, he yelled, there is something you must see in the square. Tsunade followed the ANBU to the square and had to do a double take at what she saw. In the middle of the square were a bunch of priests. They wore white outfits with hoods that covered their faces. You couldn't even see their eyes. They each had a picture in gold of a dragon on the front of their hoods. There were at least 7 of them standing around 2 coffins. They seemed to be praying for the souls of the people inside. What's in the coffins? Tsunade asked as she stepped up to the priest in front. He didn't answer. He just kept right on praying. I'm talking to you. Tsunade yelled, getting a little annoyed that she was presently being ignored. If you want to see what's in the coffins, the priest said in a low whisper-like voice, all you have to do is look. As the priest continued to pray, he and his associates moved aside so that Tsunade could reach the coffins. She walked up to it and opened them both. As she did, she reeled back in surprise. Inside of the two coffins were the bodies of Orochimaru and Kabuto. In Kabuto's case, what was left of him after Ino had finished him off. As soon as the coffins were open, the priests stopped their singing. We would like to have a word with your council, the head priest said as Tsunade managed to get back from wherever she went to when she saw the two bodies. It took about an hour before the council was called together. When they found out that Orochimaru had been killed, there were multiple reactions. The civilian side was a little upset that another place had that kind of power, and the shinobi side was glad that the traitor was dead. So what is it you wanted to see the council about? Shibi Aburame asked as the head priest stood before them. I wish to send a message from our leader, the priest said slowly. And just who is this leader of yours? Hamura asked. She was obviously curious as to who this leader was. The Dragon King, the priest answered, father of the Dragon Prince. The councils were in shock. No one had reference to the Dragon Prince since the ANBU came back telling them about him. If this guy was his father, then he must have been incredibly strong. What is the message? Koharu asked. He says that you will see the power of his village soon, the priest said. You will see him and his son during the Chunin exams in a few months. The civilian council looked a little worried, but they thought with the Uchiha on their side they could beat them. Also, the priest said, we would like the bounty for Orochimaru and for his right-hand man, Kabuto. What? Yelled a civilian councilman, you can't have that money. You can have the bounty for Orochimaru and Orochimaru alone. Then we will take our business elsewhere, the priest said. I'm sure a lot of other villages will pay dearly for the bodies of these two. Of course, if they find out this village couldn't pay. He let the sentence hang for a minute, letting the council and the Hokage think about it for a moment. Fine, Tsunade said, we will pay you the full amount for both of them. You must be insane, Danzo yelled, you can't pay them that, it will cripple the village incredibly. Do you see a better solution? Tsunade asked him. After receiving their money, the priest left and joined the others and headed out of the village. Meanwhile, Danzo was signaling to some rude ANBU. He had a secret alliance with the Snake Sannin, and they both planned to take over Konoha, with Danzo getting control and, with the snake, getting the forbidden seal of scrolls. With the priests, they were leaving the village when they were stopped by a team of rude ANBU. You, the captain yelled, you will return the money you have stolen from this village and then tell us about this Dragon King. We will tell you nothing, the priest said, and if you attack us, our leader will see it as an act of war. And if I know correctly, a war is not something that this village can afford to have right now. The captain growled and yelled, kill them and take whatever that's useful from their corpses. Almost as soon as the ANBU got within a few feet of the priests, a large wall of ice burst from the ground. The team all jumped back in shock. They didn't know of anyone in the village with this kind of power. What do you think you're doing? Asked a voice. They followed it to the top of the ice to see a boy about 18 standing there. He was tall and had black hair and brown eyes. If it weren't for the fact that he was taller, they would have mistaken him for Sasuke. Who are you? The captain asked, wanting to know the name of the man who dared stop them. The name is Gray, the man answered. Now I repeat, what do you think you're doing? We are taking what was stolen from us, the captain answered. Gray narrowed his eyes, and then a spike of ice shot out of the ground and pierced the man's chest. Then chunks of ice from the wall he used to protect the priests came off and crushed the ANBU. Listen to my voice. Gray roared, this is what the Dragon Village is capable of. If you cross one of us, you cross all of us. With those words, ice came up around Gray and the priests and shattered. When it cleared, they were gone. A few seconds later, the priests and Gray reappeared in a dense forest. Waiting for them was a blonde bombshell, a pink-haired boy and a raven-haired woman. At the blonde's feet was a small blue cat. "How did it go?" the pink-haired boy asked. "It went well, Natsu," Gray answered. "Good to know," said a voice. The four turned to see Bahamut in human form leaning against a tree. "Know that the hidden leaf knows of us," Bahamut said. "It is time to prepare." "Right," said the raven-haired girl as they all got ready to head out. "So the guild from Dragon Tail have finally been introduced. Sorry it took me so long to put them in, but I wanted to wait till the Chunin exams to put them in." The next chapter begins with the exams and Naruto shows up. Hope you're ready for a fight fest, because that is what you're gonna get. Plans and return. I own nothing. Oh, and in the last chapter on the author's note I said that the show Naruto was crossed over with was Dragon Tail, its fairy tale. Sorry, I was tired and I wanted to go to bed. Anyway. Enjoy. Chapter 9, Plans and Return to the Leaf. You tried to do what? Tsunade yelled/asked the council as she had been informed of what happened with the ANBU and the dragon priests. "We were trying to take back what they stole from us," Rose Haruno tried to reason with the angered woman. "They," Tsunade growled, "earned that money for killing that dang snake. I don't care what you think, you had no right." Tsunade, Danzo started but was cut off by the irate woman. "That's Lady Hokage to you," she growled, "and I think I need to remind you who's in charge around here." She drew back her arm and slammed her fist hard into the wall, forming a spider web of cracks in the wall. "That," she growled, "is why I am Hokage around here. I am the one in charge, not you." With that she left to her office to go down a whole lot of sake. Meanwhile, in another part of Fire Country, Naruto stood with his brides, Bahamut, and some new allies that he had found in the other world. The first was a pink-haired man named Natsu. He had tan skin and he wore mostly white. He was a fire mage, meaning he could make flames shoot out of any part of his body. His hands, mouth, feet, you name it. The second was Gray, the man who had protected the priests. He reminded Naruto of Sasuke, but luckily due to an incident with his sensei, Gray wasn't arrogant and a spoiled brat. His power was being able to manipulate ice. It was like Haku's ability, but he had it to a much higher extent. The third was a girl named Lucy. She was tall and very cute blonde. She and Natsu were obviously in love with each other, but they could never admit it to one another. She was able to perform summons with keys. The silver keys summoned constellations while her golden keys summoned creatures of the zodiac. The third was a tall, slender, dark-haired woman named Urza. She basically had the ability to equip anything she needed, and she can change weapons. She secretly had a thing for Gray and Gray had a thing for her, but they were both calm and very collective, so they never really got around to saying to each other. Naruto made a mental note to lock each couple in a closet to see how that would go. Bahamut had brought them so that he could help them when they planned to get back at the Hidden Leaf. They planned to invade during the Chunin exams, since that worked well with the recently deceased Orochimaru. "So do we all know the plan?" Naruto asked after he went over the plan with them. Said plan was to weaken their forces during the exam so that they could strike during the final part of the exam. They all nodded in agreement. Naruto smiled slightly as they all left as he adjourned the meeting. In a few months the fall of Konoha would begin. A few months later multiple villages had arrived for the Chunin exams and some of the Leaf villagers were nervous. They had heard from an anonymous source that the Dragon Prince himself and his father had entered a few warriors from his home. Some were nervous, but others were stupid and thought they would be beaten because they had Sasuke on their side. Things were normal in the village. Sasuke was ordering stuff from the Hokage, Sakura was at his side, and Lee and Guy were going on about the fires of youth. At the front gate the guards were standing at watch when they saw people coming. There were at least 8 of them. There were 2 petite female blondes, a red head, a girl with blue hair, a stern-looking girl, a pink-haired girl and a pink-haired guy and a guy who looked as stern as the girl. One of the guards recognized him as the ice guy from a month ago. "How's it going?" Natsu asked as he walked past them. They saw they had dragon in kanji on their headbands and they knew where they were from. Oh boy, they both thought simultaneously. Dragon ninja? Tsunade asked as an ANBU told her what they had seen. Yes, the ANBU said, they had a dragon symbol on their headbands. It seems the Dragon Village has come to the Chunin exams. The team from Dragon walked through the village aware of the odd looks they were getting. They walked through the village until they arrived at the Hokage Tower. All 8 of them walked in to the shock of Tsunade. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Tsunade asked. She knew where they were from and she knew if she did something wrong she would end up on Naruto's bad side along with this so-called Dragon King. "We bring a message from the Dragon King and Prince," Urza said. "Our village will be participating in Chunin exams tomorrow," Natsu said. "Our king and prince will be joining you as spectators," Gray said with an soft glare. "We warn you though," Lucy said, "if your council tries to do anything to us or anyone else they both will tear this village apart with their bare hands." Tsunade nodded. She knew that Naruto was the Dragon Prince since the incident with the ANBU. However, she had Inoichi use his mental powers to wipe the memories of the civilian council of the incident and replaced it with a memory that made them think that the ANBU came back telling them that they encountered a hooded man that called himself the Dragon Prince. Only the shinobi heads, herself, and Jiraiya knew and they gave the message to their children. "Okay," Tsunade said, "when will they arrive?" "They should arrive tomorrow," Sally said. With that said, they fighters from Dragon left. As they left they weren't aware of the pair of eyes watching them. Author's note, I got something to say. Naruto's new village is called Hidden Mage Village. They call it the Hidden Dragon Village to make it sound more ninja-like. The teams walked down the streets until they were stopped by some rude ANBU. "What do you want?" Alexandra asked, growing a little impatient. She had a feeling that these guys would try something like this. "Lord Danzo wishes to see you," the leader said. "We aren't going anywhere," Carrie said, crossing her arms. "You don't seem to understand," the leader said, reaching for a sword on his back. "When Danzo asks for an audience you give him the audience." The Root charged forward with the intent to capture them. Key word being intent. What they didn't count on was the blonde, redhead, the young pink-haired girl and blue-haired girl using a fighting style that they had never seen before. Those who didn't get hurt by the girl's onslaught were frozen by the dark guy or burned by the pink-haired guy. The darker girl brought a mace out of nowhere and shattered the ice that contained the Root. The men inside also shattered. "Humph," Urza grunted, "idiots thinking they could make demands of us." With that the teams walked to the hotel they were staying at. The next day they were summoned by the council. Begrudgingly they got up and went to the meeting. "Wonder what these guys want with us?" Natsu asked as he and his friends were led to the council chamber. "Do they really think that they can control us?" Lucy asked, raising an eyebrow. "If they do they are complete idiots," Gray said. "The council benefits this village," the ANBU who was leading them snapped, then muttered under his breath, "but there are times when I do wonder what the civilian half is smoking." The ANBU stepped aside and let them in. Kakashi sat among the ninja clans since he had been appointed the Uchiha clan head until Sasuke turned 16. Luckily it was after the incident with the ANBU, so he didn't know Naruto was the Dragon Prince. He glared at the foreign ninja. "What do you want?" Urza growled. "You will show respect to this council girl," Koharu snapped. "You'll have our respect when you earn it," Carrie yelled. The ninja clan heads had to hold back a few snickers. Even Kakashi had to chuckle. He had to admit it was king of funny to see Koharu fuming. "We brought you here so you may shed some light on your village," Hamura said. In secret the civilian council wanted to learn more about the village so that they could find it and take it as their own. We won't tell you anything, Alexandra said with a huff. If you don't you'll do time with Ibiki, threatened Rose Haruno, who expected to get a reaction out of them. Do we look like we're afraid of death? Gray asked. Fine then, Danzo said. He had already lost his patience. He was pretty upset that they had destroyed some of his root. He snapped his fingers loudly and multiple root ANBU appeared. Seize them. Danzo ordered. I think not. There was a sudden flash of golden light and a new figures entered the room. The first was a tall man with long black hair and white armor that covered him from his shoulders to his feet. The second was smaller. He wore a white trench coat with golden flames. His shirt was black with baggy jeans and black sandals. He also had a sword on his back. They couldn't see his face because he had the hood of his coat up and he had on a mask similar to ANBU with a gold swirl on it. Bahamutan Narudikov, with them were 5 cloaked figures. I dare you to guess, who are you? Haruno yelled. I, the larger one said, am the Dragon King. I believe you know of my son. He grinned as he placed his hand on his child's head. As soon as they heard those words they root charged at the prince to try to capture or kill him. They were interrupted when 7 more joined them. One of them had a large zanbato and he brought it down on the head of the nearest ANBU. The dragon's fangs, the Dragon King explained, my son's personal bodyguards. Father, you know I don't need them, the Dragon Prince said. His voice was easily made out through the mask. Yes, but why take the chance? Now, Bahamut said, turning to the council, what were you going to do with my fighters? They killed Ninja of the Leaf, Kakashi said. As retribution they will either give information or scrolls on their abilities. Actually, the Dragon Prince spoke, they were attacked first and only defended themselves. If this was the reason you called us, then thank you for wasting our time. With that they turned to leave. Stop, yelled a fat councilman, this council dem dash. The man didn't get to finish as the Dragon Prince suddenly appeared in front of him and lifted him off the ground, a large amount of killing intent rolling off of him. We aren't from this village, he stated as he tightened his grip, you have no power over us and have no right to demand anything. He lifted the man up in the air and brought his head down on the desk in front of him, breaking it in half. The entire council stared at the display of incredible strength. Oh, an old man, the Dragon Prince called out as he left, I should tell you that the Whirlpool village is alive and that they are coming here. The civilians paled again. They had a feeling that the Whirlpool village wouldn't be too friendly with them. As they left the dragon, warriors all smirked. Meanwhile, though they were hiding it, you could tell that Inoichi, Tsum, Hayashi, and Dan all had the same thought. Man, he's good. After people from the dragon village entered their rooms, the Dragon Prince took off his mask. Man! Naruto yelled, how do ANBU breathe in these things? You wanted to wear it, Naruto-kun, said one of the hooded figures as she removed her hood to reveal Hinata. The others took off their hoods to reveal Hana, Ino, Tenten, and Temari. How did you deal with them? Temari asked. She had been told the civilian half was arrogant, but she had never imagined it would be that bad. I just ignored them and took what they dished out, Naruto replied, shrugging his shoulders. He took her into his arms and kissed her. Besides, if it weren't for them I wouldn't have you girls as my future brides. Did you forget us already, Naruto-kun? They turned to see Kami, Shinigami, and Tozi were in the room. When did they get here, was the thought going through mostly everyone's mind. Shinigami walked up, grabbed Naruto by the front of his shirt and pulled him into a searing kiss. Naruto groaned and kissed back. Hey, save some for the rest of us, sister, Tozi giggled. Shinigami reluctantly broke away from Naruto. Naruto then gave Kami and Tozi a kiss. Hello. What brings you 3 here? Naruto asked. It wasn't that he wasn't happy to see them, but he was curious as to why they were here. We wanted to see what was going to happen to this stain of a village up close and personally, Kami said. Well, you're welcome to stay, Naruto said, but don't get any ideas. I'm saving that for our wedding night. Shinigami whined slightly, but she understood. How did you three end up falling for Naruto anyway? Ino asked. Naruto had told them that he had had his first real kiss with the three goddesses, and she was wondering what made them fall for him. For me, it was how he fought death, Shinigami said. He took what they dished out with strength and pride. I find that kind of strength very admirable in a man. His heart was what got him, Kami explained. Before now he had no ill will against them. His soul's purity is something someone like me can come to love. My reason is how he treated the earth, Tozi said. He showed respect to all living things. The earth, the animals, all of them. I was smitten when I saw that. The girls all smiled as they heard this. Their reasons for loving him were similar to the reasons they had. Now, Naruto said, reaching for his mask, I have a little business to take care of. What? Hana asked. You'll see, Naruto answered. Meanwhile, Natsu was walking down a hall when he was hit with a water balloon. He looked around and heard laughing. Angry, he charged after the sound. He followed the noise until he ran into Lucy. What's going on? Natsu asked as he helped Lucy up. Before Lucy could answer, a door suddenly swung open and they were pushed in. As soon as they were in, the door slammed shut and was locked. On another side of the hotel, Gray was running around looking for who it was that put a rubber snake in his bed. He ran into Urza, who looked mad as heck. She also had some cream on her face. Rubber snake in my bed, he said. The foam in the hand and the feather duster trick, she huffed. She was talking about that trick where you put shaving cream in someone's hand when they are sleeping and tickle their face with something and they slather their face with the cream. Suddenly a door swung open and they were thrown in. The door then closed and locked itself. Meanwhile, Naruto stood watching the whole thing with a pair of binoculars. He had made some clones and used the transparency jutsu to make them invisible. Now that his work was done, he left. Later, one of the doors opened and out came Lucy and Natsu. They were sweating slightly and both of them were flushed. So does this mean we're? Lucy asked. I guess it does, girlfriend, Natsu said as he kissed her. Meanwhile, Gray and Urza came out of the closet they were in. The only difference was that Urza had a hickey and Gray was putting his shirt back on. I take it we're going to have to do that again? Urza asked with a rare smirk. Definitely, Gray answered as he put an arm around her waist. Naruto is Mr. Matchmaker. Ha ha ha. Preliminary rounds begin. So the preliminaries have begun. Now the mages and brides will show the leaf what they can do. Let's start the carnage. Chapter 10, Preliminary Rounds. Begin. The first match was Sasuke against some rain ninja. Naruto / the Dragon Prince knew that the rounds were rigged so that the weak would lose and the strong would win. He knew that a council member had done that so their precious Uchiha would go on to the final round. Sasuke won when he used the Lion's Barrage like he did last time. Apparently he wanted to save his strength for the next round. After the Rain Ninja was taken off the field by a medic team and Sasuke returned to the banister, the next match was announced. Water Serpent, Hinata, vs. Kurama Mayo. Yes, I got those from other anime, but I'm not good with Japanese names. Don't judge me. Hinata smirked under her hood at the codename that was given to her. Naruto had given a list of codenames that they would answer to while they were undercover here. They were also told to only use the powers they got while training, so the council would try to do something stupid. Although they all knew that the council would do something stupid sooner or later. One of Naruto's hooded brides jumped down from the banister and landed softly. Her opponent was a tall, attractive woman from grass. As soon as the match started, she began to mouth off. You think you're good enough for him, little girl? Kurumu taunted, trying to get under her skin. I don't know where you get off thinking that a man with his power is good enough for a little runt like you. I'm going to prove it. Once I beat you into the floor, that stud is all mine. The woman expected a result and she got one, though it wasn't the one she expected. Kurumu whipped out a kunai, but as she did, water suddenly came out of nowhere and hit her in the face. She was shocked and looked to see rings of water surrounding the two combatants. "What is that?" Sakura asked out loud. She heard a chuckling and turned to see Gray laughing. "Each of these brides has received training in their elemental affinity," Gray said, remembering how the Dragon Prince told them to say when his brides use their powers. "They have trained in it to such an extent that they have incredible control over it, as you can see." Sakura looked at Gray and then at the hooded woman below. If all of them had that training, then it would be hard to beat them. A lot of other people had the same thoughts. Sasuke, however, was having different ones. "If they have that power, then I can use them," he thought. He knew that if he bred with them, he could breed strong Uchiha spawn and bring his clan back to the top where it belonged. Back in the arena, Kurumu was getting beaten by balls of water. Then the ring suddenly shrunk and wrapped around her. The woman raised her hand and, swinging it to the left, sent the girl flying into the wall. When the smoke cleared, it showed her in the wall unconscious. It took a few minutes, but the medical team got her down and took her away to treat her broken bones. The next match was announced. Lucy vs Shogi Armanesu, made up. "Sorry if it stinks." The blonde got onto the ground and faced her opponent. He was a tall, well-built man with a large war hammer. "You might as well quit, girlie," he said, smirking. "A little girl like you can't hope to defeat a big strong man like me." "We'll see," was all Lucy said in return. Shogi charged at her with his hammer, prepared to strike, but Lucy was incredibly fast. She dodged with incredible speed and the man wound up, wearing himself out. Lucy took advantage of this and took out a golden key. She held it out and said, "Come forth, spirit of the rhino." Suddenly a blue vortex opened up in front of her and a large black rhino with a red horn came charging out and slammed into Shogi at point blank. The result was him getting sent flying through 3 walls and through a few trees. After that it was a match between Urza and Sakura. The pink-haired girl immediately started screeching. "You really think that you can beat our village?" Sakura asked the redhead. "Your village is made of weaklings, so yes, I do think we can beat you," Urza answered calmly. "Well," Sakura said, smirking, "even if you manage to beat me, you'll end up having to fight Sasuke in the final round. He better than anyone here, including your prince and that loser goth wannabe you have on your team." The last part she was referring to Gray. Big mistake. Urza's face instantly went stormy. The next thing Sakura knew, she was in pain and seeing stars. Urza had taken the insult to her man personally and hit the pink-haired girl in the face hard, sending her to the other side of the arena. "My baby!" Rose Haruno yelled out as her daughter fell to the ground. Urza wasn't finished. She walked up and, focusing, formed an iron staff with a large ball on the end. "She can make weapons?" Sai asked Gray as he saw this. "Yes," he answered, "we all have different abilities that we have been trained in. Summoning is Lucy's field of expertise. Urza's is weapons and armor." Back in the arena, Urza brought the staff down on Sakura's back. "Don't you ever, wham. Ever, wham. Talk about my boyfriend, wham, like that. Wham. Wham. Wham." Urza managed to get all this out while making an incredibly painful assault on Sakura's spine. After she had blown off her rage, Urza walked away from the now unconscious Sakura, who was currently in the center of a massive crater. The medical rushed her away instantly, with Rose running after them. "Don't you think you went a little overboard?" Gray asked. "No," Urza answered, "but I know you love it when I get all tough, honey." With those words, Urza wrapped her arms around Gray's neck and kissed him. Before Lucy and Natsu could ask how they got together, Natsu was called down for his match against some grass nin. The match was pretty quick. The guy said that when he beat him, he was going to take Lucy and show her what a real man was like, and that he could wait to give her a ride. The result was Natsu hitting the guy in the stomach, sending him back a little bit and then sending a huge burst of flame at him. The man was hospitalized for weeks with a broken rib and third-degree burns. When he got up to the banister and got a thank you kiss from Lucy. "So looks like we all hooked up," Natsu said, smirking. "Looks like it," Gray said. The next match was called Earth Dragon, Ino, vs. Kasami Moroni. Ino jumped down and took out her axe. A lot of people gasped at the size of her weapon. Inoichi stared because he had no idea that his daughter's physical strength had heightened to such a level to where she could lift something like that like it was nothing but a useless paperweight. Needless to say, the match wasn't that exciting. Her opponent was male, so he said that if he won he was going to make her his woman. He ended up getting a lot of killing intent after that. He charged at her to hit her and end this match. Unfortunately, he was too arrogant and Ino just stuck out her axe and he ran right into the side of the blade. The action earned a sympathetic "ooh" from everyone watching. Ino then lifted him off the ground and then, using her axe like a baseball bat, sent her flying into the side of the arena. After being announced the winner, she went back to her spot. The next match was between Gray vs. Sai. "Good luck in your match," Sai said. He knew that his usual tactic of ticking males off with insulting their manhood wouldn't work here. This guy was calm and collective, so he figured that that tactic wouldn't work on this guy. As soon as the match began, Sai took out his sketchpad and formed a bunch of ink birds and sent them flying at Gray. Gray's response was to freeze them. Then he formed a wall of ice in front of him and they shattered on it like glass being thrown at a brick wall. Gray formed a mace out of ice and jumped over the wall he made and brought it down on Sai's head. Unfortunately, after the mace made contact, Sai's body turned to ink. Sai reappeared behind him and formed a few ink tigers. Gray froze them too but lifted one up and threw it at Sai, making him jump in the air. Gray then formed a bazooka out of ice and fired an ice missile. The projectile hit its mark and Sai was sent flying into the opposite wall. The rest of the matches were pretty straightforward. Mystic Thunder or Tenten went up against some rain ninja and won just by using a few lightning strikes from her sword. She was given that name because of her main move with her sword. Temari or Mystic Wind fought some grass ninja and beat him with a well-placed cyclone that put him in the hospital due to cracked ribs that got dangerously close to his lungs. Later on, after the final match, the final rounds were called. The rounds were basically all the mages and brides going against one another, which pissed a lot of people off. They knew it wasn't random but they kept their mouths shut. Sasuke would get to fight the winners of the match and they knew that then they would be tired from all the fighting. They may be strong but even they aren't above rest. As they left for the match, Sasuke stopped the mages. "What do you want?" Natsu asked. He wasn't in the mood right now, he just wanted to go back to the hotel and suck face with his girlfriend. Secretly, Gray wanted to do the same with his girlfriend. "I want to know how you got that power," Sasuke said. "We aren't telling you," Ino said. Sasuke didn't recognize her voice, thankfully. He did notice, however, that her voice was distorted a little. "Take of those hoods," Sasuke ordered them. They did, but Sasuke didn't get to see their faces. All of them had a mask. All of them were ANBU masks, only with something on the back to cover their hair. Ino's had a design that looked like cracks you'd find in dried earth. Hinata's had the design of waves on it. Ten's had a lightning design on it. Temari's had a design after Twister. They had put on the masks after the meeting with their parents so that if the hoods came off during their fights they wouldn't get busted. "Well, then," Sasuke said, crossing his arms, "I expect to see you girls at my home tonight." "Say what?" Temari asked, developing a tick above her eyebrow. "I said that you are going to my place tonight so you may carry the next generation of the Uchiha." Sasuke said with a grin. "How can I put this?" Urza asked out loud while tapping her chin. "Oh yeah. Not on your life, pal." Urza then walked past him but Sasuke grabbed her by the wrist. "It wasn't a request," Sasuke said, "it was a command." He raised his hand to strike her, but Gray saw it coming and punched him in the face. Luckily Sakura was still getting looked at from the beating Urza gave her, so they didn't have to worry about her going off and start screeching about how they should be honored that the great Sasuke would want them to carry his offspring. It was also good she was gone, because then they would have to listen to her screech about how she would have Gray killed for hurting him. Sasuke got up with a scowl on his face when a calm voice got his attention. "Is there a problem here?" it asked. They all turned to see Bahamut and Naruto behind them. Sasuke couldn't see it, but Naruto had an angered look on his face at the fact that Sasuke thought that he could command his warriors and brides. "There is," Sasuke said, "these girls are refusing me." "And that is a problem how?" Naruto asked, getting a little bit aggravated at the moment. Sasuke had put him in a bad mood earlier and he was only making it worse. "I'm an Uchiha," Sasuke said, stating it like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "They should be begging me to take them and give them my children." "They won't do it because they don't love you," Naruto said, smirking behind his mask. "Lucy and Urza have found love with Natsu and Gray, and my brides are saving themselves for our honeymoon in a few years." "It doesn't matter," Sasuke said, smiling. "I'll go to the council and they'll give them to make me happy." "And what makes you think that would work?" Bahamut asked. "Because they have control over every ninja in their jurisdiction," Kakashi answered for Sasuke. Kakashi was actually starting to get annoyed himself with the prince, king, and the people from his village. "Yes," Bahamut said, "ninja under their jurisdiction. They are not from this village, so even your so esteemed council cannot make them do anything with you." Sasuke had a smirk on his face until he heard that little bit. He clenched his fist as his trump card to get these women under his thumb so he could make power heirs to his clan. "Now I suggest you leave before my boy here gets very angry," Bahamut said, as he knew Naruto was getting very fed up with the Uchiha right now. Sasuke growled, turned around and left with Kakashi in tow. They started to leave until Sasuke felt something warm hit the back of his head. He turned to look at the group behind him. "Did you just dash?" he started to say, but was hit in the face by a small golden blaze thrown by the Dragon Prince, who had a wide smile beneath his mask. Kakashi glared at the young man. "You just struck a noble member of Konoha," he growled. "Apologize." "I owe the Uchiha no apology," Naruto said calmly. "He tried to take my future wives from me. For that I brought him back to Earth." He smirked again at the look of anger in Kakashi's eyes and the look of indignation on Sasuke's face. He knew that Sasuke was going to end up doing something stupid if he took the bait. But for all he knew, Sasuke could have gotten smarter and caught on to his little plan. "Take the bait," Naruto thought, "take the bait, take the bait. Then I will make you apologize," Sasuke said as he charged at Naruto. Naruto simply caught Sasuke's wrist, lifted him up off the ground and slammed him back down onto the ground, or at least the part of the banister that he was on. "Ha!" Naruto laughed. "If this is an elite, I'd hate to see the failure of this village." Kakashi decided to step in and try to save his student. He rushed forward and probably would have started charging up a Chidori if Bahamut hadn't gotten in the way and caught his wrist with one hand and slammed his skull into the side of the wall with the other. Naruto had lifted Sasuke off the ground again, but this time he just pushed him and he landed on his back right where he started. Sasuke got up and growled slightly. "How dare he do that to me?" he thought. "I'm an Uchiha, an elite. He shouldn't be able to touch me, let alone hurt me." Kakashi got up from having his head slammed into a stone wall and got up and got ready to fight, as did Sasuke. "Stop this!" Tsunade yelled. She had come across the scene. She didn't stop it at first because she wanted Sasuke to be brought down a peg or two. She had decided to stop it now because the last thing she wanted to deal with was war. Danzo was with her and he had the same thoughts, only instead of wanting to stop war he wanted to keep Sasuke alive so he could use him. "He attacked the Uchiha heir," Danzo said, pointing at Naruto. "He should be punished." "He will face no punishment," Tsunade growled. "He was attacked and was merely defending himself. He hurt the great Uchiha." Danzo yelled, "He should be executed where he dash." Silence. Naruto roared. Everyone that had seen the man before knew that he was usually very quiet, calm and collected. His outburst seemed so out of character. If the Uchiha wants to start a war, then so be it, he growled, but I will not be punished because of one man's stupidity. You're lucky I'm in a good mood, otherwise the Uchiha's eyes and balls would be gone. At that Danzo paled, and so did some other people from the village, who had heard that. If he did, then the most powerful Kekai Genkai in the village would be lost and it would never revived. Like that would ever happen, Sasuke said as he got up, you just got in a lucky shot. Your power is probably exaggerated. If you ever did fight me, you would die. I'm an Uchiha, all the clans bow to me as you should, and your women should be hurling themselves at me. The ninja clan heads groaned at the ignorance of the child in front of them. If it weren't for the fact that most of the village spoiled the boy, he probably either would be less of a pain in the butt or he would at least be more humble. Sasuke had turned to leave when he heard three words that he never thought would be said to him by anyone. I challenge you, were the words said by the Dragon Prince. What? Sasuke asked. I challenge you, he repeated, what are you, deaf? You're challenging me? Sasuke asked, an Uchiha? An elite? If you're so strong, then why don't you prove it? Naruto asked as he crossed his arms, unless of course. You're a coward. Sasuke growled at. No one ridiculed him like that, no one. Fine then. Sasuke growled, I accept your challenge. What are the terms? A fight to the death, Naruto said. If I win, your precious Sharingan dies with you, and if you win, you prove your strength to the ninja world. How will beating you do that? Danzo asked. Because, Naruto said, during the exam some other villages will be here, and more than likely they will spread the word of your power through the elemental nations, and your power will be known to all. Sasuke grinned at that. After that, the name Uchiha would be known to all who dared come across him, and the Uchiha clan would have even more glory than it did before. I agree on that, Sasuke said, but I want something else for when I beat you. And what would that be? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow behind his mask. Though he already thought he knew what the spoiled boy wanted. I want to know the secrets behind your power and have your father train me, Sasuke answered, and I want those girls to become my personal servants. He looked at the girls behind him and licked his lips lustfully. The girls mentally shuddered at the look he gave them. It made them feel dirty. I accept your terms, Naruto said, holding out his hand. The two shook hands, Sasuke smirking, so sure that he would beat the man before him. We fight during the last part of the Chunin exams. It will be your match, Naruto said, crossing his arms. He made a mental note to thoroughly wash his hands when he got back to the hotel. Sasuke nodded, turning around and leaving with Kakashi after his so he could train him. Meanwhile, Danzo was plotting, trying to think of a way to make him stronger. Naruto smiled under his mask. All according to plan, he thought. Final exam. Begin. Announcer guy, for those of you just tuning in, Naruto was left for dead, saved, trained, made his own village, and has recently challenged Sasuke to a battle to the death. How will it go? What will happen? Who will win? Why am I asking you all these questions? Isam, hey. How did you get in my house, and what are you doing in my room? Announcer guy, oh, I thought the introduction could use a little juice. Isam, just end it so the reader can start on the next chapter already. Announcer guy, okay. Isam owns nothing. Now let's start the battles. Chapter 11, Final Exam. Power revealed. 1 month time skip. News of the fight to the death between Naruto and the Dragon Prince spread through the village quickly. Almost the entire village had shown up to see the final fight. To be honest, some people had shown up to see the fights beforehand because some of them were cat fights. Perverts. The entire arena was filled with people waiting for the fights to start. Tswanda sat with the Kages of the other villages along with the wind, water and fire daimyos. They said they would come, but if Konoha was still the pack of idiots that they were, then they would send in their samurai armies and take out everyone. With her was Bahamut, Naruto and the clan heads along with another cloaked woman, Hana. The civilians were wanting to get on with it so they could see Sasuke wipe the floor with the Dragon Prince. Sakura, who was currently sitting in a wheelchair due to the massive beating she got from the Urza, was with her mother who wanted her to see Sasuke's victory. Man, these people are stupid. After Tsunade did a speech about how things were going to go down, the first two combatants were called down. Lucy stood across from Urza as the two girls got ready to face off. May the best mage win, Lucy said with a smile. I intend to, Urza said grinning. As soon as the match started, Urza formed a mace and charged at Lucy. Lucy managed to get out of the way of the weapon and shot her foot forward, connecting it with Urza's head. Urza was knocked back a bit and Lucy took out a silver key. Time to show you my new secret summon, Lucy said as she turned it to the side and a portal opened. What came out wasn't what Urza expected. She saw a man with a rhino's head in a superhero outfit, with a red H on the chest. Opponent, it called, fear the mighty horn of battle. With that he charged, and before Urza could react, the Rhino Man thing slammed its massive horn into her chest, sending her flying into the wall. Thanks for the help, Hal, Lucy said, facing the thing with her hand held out. Don't mention it, Lucy, Hal answered as he shook her hand. With that, Lucy ended the summon and Hal vanished. At that moment a bruised and dusty Urza came out of the wall and said, "Wow, that horn of battle cuts deep." With those words Urza fell to the ground unconscious. A lot of people looked at each other confused at how such a strange summon was able to beat her. But as long as she didn't die, it wasn't any of their concern. Urza was taken off the field as Gray and Natsu were brought down to fight. This is gonna be a good one, Bahamut said. Why is that? Tsunade asked him. Natsu is fire, Gray is ice, he explained. Th2 are opposites, therefore they are rivals. Expect a lot of action in this fight. Oh, and you might want to break out some medicine for frostbite and burns. Meanwhile, back in the ring, the two looked at each other as they got ready to brawl. As soon as the match began, the two combatants launched themselves at each other. Natsu engulfed his hand in flames and tried to score a hit to Gray's chest, but Gray got out of the way and hit Natsu with an ice blast. The ice melted after a few seconds due to Natsu's temperature. Natsu then engulfed his foot in flames and struck it out at Gray, who managed to dodge it but got a few singes on his shirt. He managed to catch Natsu's ankle, but Natsu came back with a regular kick to the face which actually made contact. Gray was sent skidding and Natsu took advantage of it. He took a deep breath and sent a massive fireball from his mouth toward the ice user. Gray threw up a wall of ice just in time to block it. Gray then formed pistols of ice and started firing. He sent small pieces of ice at Natsu, who managed to dodge them, but he got one or two in his arm. It was then that the two decided that it was time to end their match. Both closed their eyes and focused. Suddenly there was a sudden burst of energy from both of them. Half of the arena was shivering from the cold and others were sweating from the heat. Half of the ring that Gray was on was covered in ice and Natsu's half was on fire. The two then charged at each other and collided. The result was a massive orb in the middle of the arena. Half of it was made of a frozen energy and the other was made out of fire. Think the fight between Trace and Blackbeard from One Piece. When the smoke cleared, it showed both fighters on the ground unconscious. The only difference was that Gray had a few burn marks and Natsu had a minor case of frostbite on his arm. As the two were carried away, Lucy and the recently awoken Urza followed them to go be with their men. The next fight was supposed to be between Naruto and Jiraiya, but they both refused to fight their sister. Sally, Sarah, Alexandra and Carrie all refused to fight too. That got a few people angry. Why don't you suck it up and fight, you useless sluts? Someone roared. This is why you'll never be good enough for Sasuke. Obviously, Sakura was the one who yelled that. She had heard that Sasuke had tried to take the girls in and they refused. To say she was mad was an understatement. The insults probably would have continued if there wasn't a sudden surge of killing intent. Everyone turned to the source to see the dragon prince covered in golden flames and radiating so much killing intent that the ANBU stood on guard and the samurai outside the arena stood at the ready. The daimyos were shaking and so were the kages, plus a bunch of civilians vomited everything they ate for lunch and breakfast and yesterday's dinner. Man, the janitor was going to be pissed. After Naruto had calmed down and some of the throw-up had been cleaned up, the next match between Water Serpent and Earth Dragon was announced. Naruto smiled as he knew that they girls were all on the same level and that they wouldn't hold back against on another. The two girls faced each other and threw of their cloaks. The result was a lot of wolf whistles going through the arena and a smack that followed the men who whistled to be struck across the head by their girlfriends or wives. Earth Dragon wore a gold battle kimono that was loose but showed some of her chest and a split down the sash showing off her slender legs. Water Serpent had on a blue version only, she had bikini top on. Earth Dragon shifted her axe on her shoulder and Water Serpent took out her swords and got ready. The two charged at each other. Water Serpent immediately went on the offensive and started swinging with her swords. Earth Dragon managed to block with her axe until she caught one of the swords and shot her other fist forward and connected it with her stomach. Water Serpent was sent back a little bit but recovered, but not fast enough. Magnitude level 7. Earth Dragon roared and slammed her fist into the ground. The result was a huge quake that went through the ground. A huge crack formed in the ground and Water Serpent couldn't react fast enough because quake had shaken her off balance. Earth Dragon chuckled and turned to leave when she felt a sudden rise in power. She turned to see water filling up the chasm she had just created. Suddenly something burst from the water and landed in front of her. It was Water Serpent, only different. She now had a body armor on. Her chest armor mimicked her former outfit, only it was lined with metal where her stomach, neck and shoulders were. She had blue arm guards that had green crystals on the hands and black gloves. She now had on armor on her legs and blue-heeled boots. She had green fins on her forearms and on the back of her boots. Her swords also had changed. The blades were now sea blue and had dragon heads on the bottom of the handles. Earth Dragon was taken back by the sudden transformation, then she composed herself and started to glow gold herself. Then there was a bright flash. In her place was a golden vixen. She had on thick armor that copied her body perfectly. It looked almost exactly like Water Serpent's, except her armor looked more like armor instead of a bikini top. She had gold arm guards with a red crystal on the hand and black gloves. She had on heeled boots as well, except she didn't have any fins on her body. Her axe was now completely gold with a spike at the bottom of the handle. Everyone stared at the new armored forms of the two female combatants. Sasuke eyed the two girls hungrily. The more power they showed, the more he wanted them. He made a solemn pledge that when he beat the Dragon Prince he would definitely take these two first. The female combatants faced each other, moving faster than ever. Each time their weapons clashed, the ground beneath them shook. After a few minutes of going at each other's throats, they were starting to get bored and decided to end the whole thing. They both jumped back and both started to glow. Striking Serpent Queen. Water Serpent yelled as a pool of water appeared behind her and a copy of her mistress completely made out of water rose up out of it, growling. Crushing Dragon Lord. Earth Dragon yelled, and from the ground behind her rose up a glowing version of her master made entirely out of earth. The Toe Beast looked at each other and growled. What are those things? Danzo asked. Two of the Dragon Lords, Bahamut said, getting everyone's attention. They are beasts that command the elements. The Water Serpent is Aelera, Dragon Lord of the Water, and the other is Orgus, Dragon Lord of the Earth. There are two others, but you will see them at a later time. Danzo looked on with curiosity. He smiled under his bandages. When Sasuke uses them to restore his clan, maybe I can use them to breed super soldiers for my root division, he thought as he began to think of the power he could accumulate with an army of people like this. Back in the arena, the two girls charge at each other with the dragons in tow. When they clashed, the result was a massive explosion that shook half the village. When they looked down at the arena, they saw the girls on the other side of each other with their weapons in a position that meant they had swung them. Water Serpent stumbled a bit and Earth Dragon chuckled, at least until she groaned and fell to the ground. Up in the Kage booth, Inoichi and Hayashi were grinning on the inside as they saw the raw power their children possessed. After a few minutes she got back up after an unexpected nap. It was at that moment that some of the others decided to come out of the medical tent. They had heard of the battles so far and they had to get up on account of all the explosions. To be honest, some of them just wanted to get up and see the Dragon Prince kick Sasuke's butt into the next century. While the arena was being fixed with Earth Jutsu, it was decided that they would have an intermission. This gave those who wanted to go to the bathroom the chance to go. To be honest, a lot of people ran to the bathroom because they didn't want to miss any of the fights. It was also during this time that Sakura had decided to approach Naruto's brides and sisters. "What do you want, Pinky?" Earth Dragon asked her former friend. "I want to ask you why you're with that Dragon Prince character," Sakura said. "Sasuke's so much better than him, so why don't you just ditch him and get with a real man?" "These people never learn, do they?" was the question going through everyone's mind. "Look," Mystic Wind said, aggravation obvious in her voice, "there is nothing you can say that will make us go for that skinny, good-for-nothing, power-hungry piece of crud that you so greatly worship." She was already taller than Sakura, but since said girl was in a wheelchair she practically towered over her, making her look even more menacing than ever. Sakura decided that she didn't want to be hurt any more than she already was, so she decided to back off. She turned around in her wheelchair and wheeled away as fast as her arms could push her. After the arena was cleaned, everyone had eaten and gone to the can, the next match was announced. Mystic Wind and Thunder entered the arena and threw of their cloaks. Wind had on a loose green battle kimono that ended right at her knees. Thunder had a tight sleeveless shirt and loose jeans. She took the broadsword off her back and got in a sword stance. Wind took the battle fan she had on and got ready herself. They both smiled under their masks, seeing as this was the same matchup that they had for the Chunin exams last year. Thunder charged first and attempted to sever Wind's head from her shoulders, but the fan got in the way and managed to block the sword strike. Wind then pushed her arm forward and sent a gust of wind that sent Thunder flying backwards. Thunder back flipped and landed on the side of the wall and infused some lightning with her sword. "Lightning strike," she yelled, shooting forward, swinging her sword in a downward arc. Wind just jumped out of the way and landed a few feet away. "Striking Gale." Wind cried and sent out a small tornado that hit Thunder in the chest. Instead of being hurt, she instead rode the wind, letting it spin her. She rode it up into the air and then came back down yelling, "Thunder drill." She basically came down spinning like a drill with the intent of cutting through her opponent, and would have succeeded if the drill Wind hadn't gotten in the way again. When she stopped, Thunder shot out her leg and it connected with Wind's stomach. Wind was bent over and Thunder put the sword back on and started swinging punches. Each one met their mark. As they watched, the daimyos were impressed. "You trained your students well," the Wind daimyo said. "I did not train them," Bahamut said, "my students did." "Your students?" the Water daimyo asked. Of all the daimyos she was the only female. Tsum and Hana, codenamed White Fang, yes, like the book, couldn't help but think that they had seen her somewhere before. They decided to ask about that later. "Yes," Bahamut said, "know what to say. Aelera, Orgus, Jordan and Koresh all were my students at one time. The dragons you saw is a manifestation of their power." "So you trained the people who trained them?" Danzo asked. "If he trained them, I don't want to know how powerful this character is," Danzo and a few other people thought at the same time. Back in the arena, things had come to stalemate. The two girls had their weapons pressed together in a standoff, each one pushing, trying to make the other give under the pressure. Eventually they were both thrown back and landed on their feet. Wind suddenly threw her hands in the air and was surrounded by a green tornado. When it cleared, she was in armor as well. She had green armor that mimicked her body. She had green gauntlets with yellow gems on the hands with white gloves. White also cover her upper legs, while she had heeled boots that went up to her knees. The difference between her armor and the others is that hers had wings. They were green with yellow membranes. Her fan now had red spikes on the end. When she opened it, showed 3 flat blades on the end. Thunder decided it was time to kick it up a notch as well. Storm clouds formed above them and a volt of purple lightning struck her. Dan silently gasped as he saw his daughter get struck by lightning, but gasped with everyone else when it cleared. His daughter now wore armor that was the same as Temari's, except hers was purple. The gloves and material that covered her legs was black, as well as the crystals on her hand and the membranes on her wings. Her sword was now slightly bigger with a purple blade that had a black streak running through it. The two girls squared off again, only this time Wind was the one of the offensive. She had closed her and was coming very close to punching a hole in her friend. Luckily Thunder's speed increased with the armor, so she was able to block the strikes from the fan and managed to get a few strikes in with her sword. Sparks flew as the sword and armor clashed. Wind managed to get a solid punch to Thunder's jaw and sent her off a little bit. It was then she decided to use one of her stronger attacks. Galaxy Storm, she yelled as she opened her fan and sent a massive gale that would have crushed Thunder. Luckily Thunder spread her wings and flew into the air just as it was about to hit. Wind decided to join her in flying and flew at her. The two clashed in the air and were at another stalemate. In the Kage box, Gaara was in awe at the incredible power of his older sibling. He grinned mentally at the thought of what she would do to these idiots when the time came for the vicious beating the Leaf Village had in store. Meanwhile Kankuro was mentally cursing. He had made a solemn pledge when he was little to protect his big sister. If she was this strong and Naruto was stronger, then there was no way that he would be able to protect her. He did smile though at the thought of her sister being safe within the arms of her future husband. Back in the air, the two girls were starting to get bored with this little game of cat and mouse, so they decided to bring on their most powerful moves to end this fight and give everyone a little show. Ultimate Storm. Wind yelled as the wind suddenly picked up and gathered behind her and formed glowing green energy that took the form of Jordan. The beast roared at Thunder, who decided to bring out her sword and raised it up. Majestic Lightning, she yelled. A purple lightning struck the ground behind her and formed Koresh. The lightning dragon growled loudly and sent out a massive roar at Wind and Jordan. Wind closed her fan and green energy started to form around it. Thunder raised her sword and a volt of lightning struck it and it started to glow purple. Both got into a running stance and charged at each other. The two met with a loud clang and a massive explosion. When the smoke cleared, it showed Wind on the ground unconscious while Thunder stood. Thunder lifted Wind up and carried her off to the fighter's booth where, after a couple minutes, Wind woke up. The time has come, Sasuke thought as the girls returned to the booth. Almost as soon as the girls entered the booth, there was a burst of gold flame in the ring and the Dragon Prince stood there waiting. "Take a good long look at him, ladies," Sasuke said, facing the girls. "It's the last time you'll see him alive." With that said, he jumped down ready for the chance to fight. So the final battle has begun. Get ready for a long one, folks, cause it is going to be a wallop. See you next time. Final War. Announcer Guy. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to tonight's premiere battle. It great to be here, isn't it, Isam? Isam, it sure is, AG. Now let's meet our gladiators. In the arena are two hooded men, one in a red corner, one in a blue corner. Isam, in the red corner, he's thin, he's moody, he's been a pain in the butt to practically everyone in his village. It's Sasuke, the traitor, Uchiha. Crowd boos. Isam. And in the blue corner, he's tall, he tough, he's been beaten by his own village and has come back for payback against the jerks who did it to him. It's Naruto, Dragon Prince Uzumaki. Crowd cheers. Isam. now see these titans clash in this final battle to the death. Let's start the violence. Chapter 12, Final War. Sasuke landed across from the Dragon Prince and got ready for their fight. "You might as well give up now, loser," Sasuke said arrogantly, "you'll just make it more humiliating when I beat you." "Victory is never assured," the prince said, "you still have to conquer what stands in your way. And I will not go down easy." In the stands many things were said. "That prince guy doesn't stand a chance against the Uchiha. I wonder if he'll take off that mask. I want to see who's hiding under it." Among the voices was Konohamaru and his friends Moegi and Udon. With them was a fourth member, Konohamaru's girlfriend Hanabi. "I can't believe them," the Kage's grandson said, "these idiots really think that the Uchiha will beat this guy. Do you think the prince can win?" Hanabi asked her boyfriend. "I don't know," he answered, "but I have heard he's incredibly powerful. They say he took on 3 teams of ANBU from 3 different villages and won." "Ha," a man behind them said, "that's all probably just hype someone made up to make him sound powerful. He'll be dead within a few minutes." Back in the ring, the Dragon Prince chuckled. "Do you hear it?" he asked, getting a confused look from Sasuke. "They speak of you beating me, Uchiha. It's time they got a wake-up call." At that moment, in a speed that even the Kages couldn't follow, the prince ran toward Sasuke and connected a strong punch right to his chest, sending him flying across the ring and into a wall. There were multiple gasps and cries of "Sasuke-kun" from the crowd. The second one was obviously from the girls, who were still idiots, and his fangirls. Man, those girls have got to get a hobby. Or at least find someone to make out with and find something else to occupy their time. I mean, really look what it's done to Sakura. Anyway, the only ones who weren't surprised were the people who had come to befriend him and those who hated the Uchiha and were glad he was going to get a beating. Today, Naruto yelled to the crowd, "You people get your wake-up call. And it's about time too." Sasuke got up with a low groan as he tried to shake off the pain in his chest. "Where did he get that kind of power?" Sasuke asked. Sasuke charged and tried to land a hit on the prince, but Naruto dodged each move and blocked a few kicks that were thrown out. Eventually Naruto got bored and caught his fist and threw him over his shoulder. Unfortunately, Sasuke landed on his feet. He took out a kunai and threw it, but Naruto whipped out his sword and blocked it. Naruto decided to show Sasuke what he could do. "Dragon Slash," he yelled as his sword started to glow, and he swung it, sending an arc of golden energy at Sasuke, who took the whole blast but managed to stand. "I'm impressed," the prince said, putting his sword back in its sheath. "Not very many have been able to stand up after taking a strike from my sword." "That's what you get for underestimating an Uchiha," Sasuke said arrogantly. "Well then," Naruto said, "I guess I'll have to start getting serious." Lightning style, arc wave. As soon as Naruto said that, Sasuke activated his Sharingan, which had gained the third comma in each eye in their fight at the Valley of the End, to try and copy the jutsu, but to his surprise he couldn't. Kakashi also tried to copy it, but he couldn't either. "Why can't I copy that technique?" they both thought at the same time. Naruto had formed a bolt of lightning in his hand and threw it at Sasuke, who got zapped pretty badly. "If you're wondering why you couldn't copy my technique, is because I didn't need to use hand signs," the Dragon Prince said, making Sasuke growl. Sasuke got up, went through hand signs and yelled, "Fire style, Grand Fireball." The fireball was sent flying at Naruto, who yelled, "Fire Dragon, roar." He sucked in a lot of air and actually swallowed the fireball, much to the shock of everyone. Then he let it all out in a massive roar that sent a huge blast of fire at the last Uchiha, which was now true since Itachi was dead. Sasuke concentrated and his Sharingan shifted to a shuriken-like form. Then there was a sudden burst of black flame. That countered the fire attack Naruto sent out. Amaterasu, Naruto thought as he saw this, "I had a feeling Madara wouldn't let his strength die yet. He probably put some of his power in Sasuke when he died." Sasuke smirked, "No, I'll show you the true power of the Uchiha." He activated the Tsukiyomi, spelling, and caught Naruto in the powerful genjutsu. Naruto however activated his Twilight Eye under his mask and dispelled it. Then he fell to the ground pretending to be in fear of what was happening. Sasuke decided to end this fight and shot toward the acting prince. Right before he could strike however Naruto jumped up and caught his fist. How? Sasuke asked as he wondered how someone managed to get out of one of the strongest techniques of his clan. I have an ability that allows me to see through all types of genjutsu including the Tsukiyomi, Naruto explained before slamming his fist into Sasuke's gut at least 5 times before sending him away with a kick to the face. Sasuke got up after a few seconds and activated his curse mark sending weird markings all over his body. So he's desperate enough to call on the snake's power, Bahamut thought as he watched. You've trained your son very well, the water daimyo said. Sorry to say, Bahamut said, but he is not my son. They all looked at him while Bahamut continued, I trained him because of a favor I owed to some friends of his. Plus his father helped me out. His father? Sakura asked. A nobleman from this village, the king said, he helped me in the ninja war and I owed him. The prince knows this yet he calls me father because I am like a father to him as well as the training acted like an adoption ceremony. Sakura was quiet. She turned to see Sasuke activating his curse mark. She grinned mentally. This'll show that loser to mess with Sasuke. She thought. Back in the ring Naruto noticed the marks appearing and smiled. Getting desperate are we? He asked getting Sasuke mad. Sasuke charged as the visible chakra started to flow out of him. He charged at the prince only for golden chakra to start flowing out of him. The two collided and ended up in a grappling match. Up in another booth Kakashi knew that he had to help his student. Kakashi, what are you dash? Kurinai started to ask but stopped when Kakashi jumped down and shot across the arena toward the prince, who he thought wasn't seeing this coming. Fortunately for Naruto he heard Kakashi jump down and since his Twilight Eye was still active he used the Byakugan part of it and saw Kakashi coming. He was able to see chakra collecting the copy ninja's eye and knew he was going to try a Chidori. Naruto shifted his weight and threw Sasuke into Kakashi just as he thrust the move forward. Sasuke slammed into Kakashi and sent them both flying. How did he see me coming? Kakashi thought as he looked at the Dragon Prince. Just then the mask started to crack. The prince hung his head as the pieces of the mask fell to the ground. Everyone held their breath as they waited for the prince to lift his head so they could see the face. All but those who knew who it was looked on with interest. The Dragon Prince reached into his pocket and pulled out a Dragon Village headband. Then he grabbed the part of the material at the base of his neck and pulled it off to reveal a head of spiky blonde hair. It can't be, Kakashi thought as the prince wrapped the headband around his forehead and tied it in the back, he's dead. Sasuke's eyes widened at the sight as the prince rose his head to reveal the face of Naruto Uzumaki. All right. Konoha yelled, the boss is back. His friends cheered with him. The other genin in the village along with their parents smiled. The ones who didn't hate Naruto all grinned at the fact that the one the village had always tried to hurt was back and ready to beat down on everyone who hurt him. Outside the arena watching through a telescope was Jiraiya. He grinned as he saw the looks on everyone's faces. A look of shock and disbelief. The demon is back, a random civilian yelled breaking the silence. A second later he was pierced with an icicle courtesy of Gray. The others decided to keep quiet lest they deal with the same fate. Shall we continue? Naruto asked as Kakashi and Sasuke rose up. Kakashi revealed his Sharingan eye and brought out its ultimate level. Sasuke still had his Sharingan active so he charged with Kakashi. They both met strong fists to the chests. They recovered and looked to see Naruto gone. Earth style, headhunter, they heard Naruto's voice say and Sasuke was pulled underground up to his neck. Naruto burst out of the ground a few feet away and faced Kakashi. Payback time you team-loving idiot, Naruto said crossing his arms at his old sensei. Naruto, Kakashi started, I don't know what you did to get this power, but I will kill you like I did 3 years ago. Kakashi charged at Naruto only to hit air and get a kick to the guy by Naruto and then hit in the face. Kakashi was about to get up and try to fight again, but Naruto vanished, and thing anyone knew Naruto was on the other side of Kakashi, who was holding his face screaming in absolute agony. He didn't, Asuma said. He did, Guy said, with that only one Sharingan user remains. If Naruto really is as powerful as the legends say, then the Sharingan will die this day. Kakashi, Naruto said as he turned to face his former sensei, time to pay for your crimes. Naruto got into a familiar stance with his legs spread and one arm extended downward with his palm facing the ground. Then chakra started to collect in his hand and formed a Chidori. How did he learn my technique? Kakashi thought as he saw it changing. The Chidori glowed brighter and brighter until it was a mass of silver lightning, then it turned gold and seemed to have a bit of fire added to it. Naruto brought the arm that held the technique to the side and yelled, Dragon Raikiri. As those words were said, Naruto launched himself forward at Kakashi with a speed that made Guy look like a slug and plunged the technique into his chest. Kakashi groaned before he fell to the ground in pain. Sasuke at that moment managed to dig himself out of the hole he was in and glared at the blonde who had killed his sensei. Your next Uchiha, Naruto said, crossing his arms. Sasuke growled and ran at Naruto. Naruto caught his hand and punched him in the face, sending him back towards the wall of the ring. Sasuke, Naruto said, you and your clan have shown disregard for the safety of others and a nasty habit of betraying others for power. You're no different than your older brother. Sasuke growled as he charged at Naruto again. This time he took out a scroll and unsealed a sword. Some of the civilians grinned. They knew that the Uchiha clan was good with swords and they thought that Naruto would die at the Uchiha sword. Man, these people really were idiots. Naruto whipped out his sword and they both clashed. Sasuke starting swing it wildly, thinking he could break through Naruto's defense with a continuous attack. That is until Naruto caught the sword and threw Sasuke back. Shadow sword clone, Naruto said, making an exact copy of his sword. Then he took a sword stance and yelled, Ancient Sword Technique, 10k Raining Cuts. Naruto started to swing the swords wildly, and like the name of the technique implied, it looked like a rain of swings from the sword came down on Sasuke. He managed to block a few of them, but the rest managed to get through. As the technique progressed, multiple cuts appeared on Sasuke's back, legs and arms. Sasuke growled as he got up and managed to pick up the sword he had dropped while being sliced. You're more resilient than I thought, Uchiha, Naruto smirked as Sasuke got up despite the incredible pain in body. Sasuke growled as he rose up and decided to kill the dobe now with his ultimate power. The marks on his body glowed and spread until they covered his entire body, healing his wounds. When the marks faded, it showed Sasuke in a different form. Now his skin was darker and his hair was purple. He had a black mark on his nose and the whites of his eyes had turned black. He still had his Mangekyo Sharingan on, so his pupil color didn't change. It was then that a large pair of hands burst from Sasuke's back. He was now in level 2 of his curse mark. I remember this, Naruto said, crossing his arms. This is the same form you used when we fought at the Valley of the End. To be honest, I'm actually surprised the mark is still active after I killed that snake. Sasuke growled as he took a battle stance. Oh well, Naruto said, putting the sword on his back, if you're going to use your full power, I might as well go ahead and use mine. Naruto summoned his power and there was a burst of gold from him. When it faded, it showed Naruto in white armor. The armor was made to look human except for a large green crystal in the middle of his chest. It was mostly white with gold on his upper arms and legs. He had white combat boots on his feet with small blades coming out of the back. His gauntlets had small blades coming off the elbows and clawed gloves on his hands. He had round shoulder pads that connected to the chest armor. In his hand he had his sword, only it had changed. It was now crystal with rubies in the blade made into a spiral form. On his back he had wings with golden membranes. Naruto faced the now morphed Sasuke, ready to end the war that they had started 3 years ago. Sasuke charged at Naruto, his sword still drawn, and swung it. Instead of the swords clashing like they did before, the sword broke like glass hitting a brick wall. The civilians gasped. The sword had been made by the Uchiha, so they thought it to be unbreakable. Naruto took advantage of Sasuke's confusion and gave him a powerful uppercut to the jaw, sending him skyward. Naruto flew up after him and slammed his fist into his stomach. As Sasuke hit the concrete below, he turned back. Naruto landed on the ground, wings still spread toward the fallen Uchiha. "Any last words?" he asked. "How did you get that power, Dobe?" "I deserve it more than you, I'm an Uchiha, an elite," Sasuke yelled. Naruto shook his head. "What a waste," he shook head. He placed his hand on Sasuke's head. Almost instantly Sasuke reeled in pain. Naruto used Shinigami's powers to cause the Uchiha to feel every bit of pain he did all of his life. Naruto then got up and yelled, "Golden Fury." As he did, the gold energy that was his came together to form Bahamut in all his terrifying glory. The beast then charged forward at Sasuke, and the result was heard all over the world. Boom! The explosion filled the ring and smoke filled the air. When the smoke cleared, it showed Naruto and a huge crater where Sasuke used to be. The last of the Uchiha was dead and the Sharingan was gone. With that done, Naruto floated up into the air and yelled, "Konoha! Your day of reckoning has come. Sasuke's dead and the destruction of Konoha will begin." Next chapter is the last. Hope you enjoy the show. Fall and Epilogue. Isam has a microphone and is speaking ridiculously loud like an announcer in a fighting match. I have to admit, this has been one heck of a show. For those of you just tuning in, Sasuke and Naruto began their match. Kakashi intervened but was knocked away, but revealed Naruto's identity by breaking his mask. Afterward, Naruto called on the power of his dragon armor and destroyed him. Now begins the destruction of Konoha. Prepare for final battle. Previously on Naruto Dragon Prince, Naruto floated up. "Konoha," he yelled, "your day of reckoning has come." Chapter 13, Fall of the Leaf. As Naruto said those words, a team of Root Anbu came out of nowhere and attacked Naruto. Earth Dragon jumped in the way and with one swing of her axe sent them flying. She reached up for her mask and took it off to reveal Ino's face. "Ino?" Sakura screamed, seeing her old friend. The other girls revealed their faces, causing everyone to gasp. "Traitors," Danzo yelled, "you'll die with the demon." Even more Root came up, but Naruto brought on Shinigami's power and destroyed their hearts just by looking at them. Danzo was about to summon more Anbu when the water daimyo jumped up from her seat and ran a hand of claws over his face. The water daimyo turned to look at Tsum. "Hey there, auntie," she said, smiling under her hood. "Arin?" Tsum asked as the daimyo took off her hood to reveal a young woman with Inuzuka marks on her cheeks. Tsum smiled and ran up to hug her long-thought-lost relative. Danzo got up and tried to kill them, but Bahamut got to him first and slammed his fist into the side of his face, sending him through the concrete. By this time the civilians in the stands had started running, and every able-bodied ninja had come to the arena thinking that they could kill them because they had numbers on their side. Of course, they were either frozen by Gray, then shattered by Urza, or burned to death by Natsu. Naruto jumped up to the Kage booth to see the ninja clan heads, the daimyos, Jiraiya and Tsunade. With them surprisingly were Rose and Sakura Haruno. Naruto glared at Sakura. "I got a bone to pick with you," he said. An Root Anbu tried to get him, but he was pierced by some bone bullets courtesy of Kimimaro. Before joining the fray again, he winked at Tsum, who gave him a feral grin in response. Sakura looked at Naruto with fear in her eyes, then she remembered who this was and was unaware that Naruto hated her guts with a passion now. She smirked as she said the words she thought would save her. "Save it, Naruto," she said with a knowing smirk, "we both know you don't have the guts to hurt me. I'm your Sakura-chan, so why don't you just drop the act and let yourself die already?" Naruto's answer was to let loose a strong punch to her jaw that sent her flying out of her wheelchair and into the far wall. "My baby!" Rose screamed as she went to check on her daughter. "Zabuza," Naruto called, and the sword's man appeared behind him. "Yes, my prince?" Zabuza asked, wondering why he had been summoned. "Take the daimyos, the clan heads, the Hokage and Jiraiya out of her. Tell Haku she's to grab the people that our spies marked." "Marked?" Tsunade repeated. "I remembered people who were nice to me," Naruto said. "I had some of our spies mark them with a special seal that will take them out of here. Then I will blow this who darn place sky high." "Good riddance to bad rubbish," the fire daimyo said. He and the other daimyos had made their decision when Kakashi had entered the ring to try and kill Naruto and sent a message to their samurai to come in and take out all who got in their way. Zabuza sent the message to Haku via radio, and Shushined along with everyone he was instructed to take, leaving him alone with the Haruno females. "You monster!" Rose yelled as she charged at him. She met his fist and she was sent flying farther than her daughter, who was just now waking up from her unexpected fight. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "This was your home, your village. Why are you destroying it?" "Why?" he asked. "Because this village beat me, hurt me, and tried to stunt my growth. I finally found a place that I can call home. A place where I finally know love." He glared at her as he continued. "I loved you at one time, Sakura, but every time I tried to get close to you I was pushed away and hit for no reason. No, you are nothing but a stain in my heart that I plan on getting rid of her, and now." He took his sword out and raised it high. As Sakura saw the sword raise up, her life flashed before her eyes. She saw how she had treated him, how the village had treated him, and it brought a tear to her eye. She saw how Naruto had been kind to her while Sasuke wouldn't even give her the time of day. She realized then that she had missed out on something great. She wished she could go back in time and take it all back, but this time her wish wouldn't be granted. She closed her eyes as Naruto brought down his sword. Meanwhile, Rose crashed into the ground and groaned in pain. She had multiple broken bones and could barely move. A few seconds later she felt someone's presence. She opened her eyes despite the pain and saw a Kodomaru standing above her with a solidified web in his hand. She screamed. It was the last sound she ever made. Meanwhile, somewhere outside the village in an underground base, Hamura, Koharu, and Danzo sat at a table surrounded by root umbu. "That brat," Hamura growled, "he should have died years ago. If he did, we wouldn't be having this problem. If he was in my program," Danzo huffed, "then we would be invincible." "Well," Koharu said, "what are we going to do now? The village is being destroyed as we speak." "Don't worry," Danzo said, reassuring the old man, "as long as we're down here we don't have to worry about being found. When the destruction is over we'll rebuild the village and kill that brat." The old war hawk grinned under his bandages until there was a loud booming above them. They looked up to see the ceiling give way and down came Bahamut along with 3 wingless dragons. "You!" Danzo yelled. He charged at Bahamut, tearing his bandages, showing a right Sharingan eye. In response, Bahamut vanished and Danzo did a Kakashi and clutched his face, screaming in pain. Hamura and Koharu watched on in horror as Bahamut took out a sword and cut off Danzo's arm that had a ton of Sharingan eyes in it. Bahamut motioned to the dragons behind him and they carried Koharu and Hamura away. He turned to Danzo and shook his head and left. Danzo died slowly due to blood loss. Back in the village, Koharu and Hamura along with most of the village were gathered in the center of the village. They looked around to see Naruto standing on a building in front of them, still in his armor. "Why have you brought us here, demon?" a civilian yelled. "Insolence," Naruto said. "Has it ever occurred to you why I haven't tried to take out this village until now?" The question surprised everyone. "I loved this village despite the hardships I had to go through," Naruto said. "If I was the monster you said I was, then why didn't I kill the ones who hurt me? Why didn't I destroy the place that wanted me dead no matter what happened?" The civilians were silent, listening to the boy. I found happiness with some people here, but when this village betrayed me I found that I had no loyalty to it anymore. Yeah right, someone yelled, don't lie to us demon, you don't deserve life, you should have died when the Yondaime confined you to this form. Now release us or we'll have to take matters into our own hands. Arrogant until the end, Naruto said as he rose into the air and raised his hands. He yelled out, Bahamut, let us show the true power of the Dragon King and Prince. Bahamut flew up next to him and brought on his power as well. They both shot a golden beam into the sky and the blasts mixed to form a massive energy ball. Think Spirit Bomb, only gold, Gold Dragon Fury. They both yelled as they brought down the energy ball. The civilians screamed as they saw their lives flash before their eyes. The ball of energy crashed down on the village square and everything seemed to freeze for a moment before there was a massive explosion. From space it looked like there was a large dome of fire covering the village and everything for a few miles. Luckily when they had been taken out everyone was in the other world so they didn't have to worry about getting hurt. With their work done, Naruto opened a portal to the other world and entered it. As soon as he did he saw his new home, his friends, and everyone else. He was immediately tackled by his brides and was knocked to the ground. Naruto got up and gave each of them a hello kiss, including the 3 goddesses. Kiba normally would have been jealous of the blonde's luck, but he was busy checking out Tayuya, who gave him a smirk in return. With everyone in the same place and some rather lengthy explanations to those who did not know what had happened since then, they headed to the village to get acquainted with the new world. Epilogue. Naruto stood on top of a large mountain. It had been 10 years since the destruction of Konoha and Naruto was now the current Dragon King. Bahamut had stepped down and given the mantle to Naruto. He and the girls married about a year after that. The honeymoon was pretty much uneventful except for when Naruto caught Jiraiya trying to peep on them. The result was Jiraiya nearly getting burned to death. The honeymoon ended with all the girls tired and sore but happy nonetheless. Hinata was the first on to get pregnant and gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The others gave birth and Naruto was happy. The ones Kami, Shinigami and Tozi had to be taken to the world of the gods to train in their powers. Almost everyone else managed to find love as well. Kiba and Tayuya ended up in a love-hate relationship. Though Tsum was glad because Kiba had someone to straighten him out if his ego ever got the better of him, which it usually did. Jirobo ended up going out with Chuji's cousin. They are now married and expecting a child in a few weeks. Speaking of Chuji, he wound up dating Ayam due to them both being great chefs. Kadamaru found a lover in Anko due to his habit to play with his enemies. They both hit it off and Anko is expecting his child in a month. Kimamaru and Tsum are currently married and she is expecting a new pup in a few months. Zabuza found a swordswoman and they wound up falling in love. Haku found love with Shikamaru due to the fact that they were both strategists. Shino is still single though his mysterious lifestyle has brought on a few girls who are interested in him. A real shock came when Tsunade accepted a date with Jiraiya. They are supposed to be married within a month. Yukon and his brother Sukon are with one of the girls in the interrogation department. They see Anko and Kadamaru from time to time and tease them, but that is usually when their girlfriend Arlene comes up. Back in the ninja world, Kankuro was still single because he came of as perverted to some women and got slapped in the face. Gaara was Gaara, so he doesn't have anyone. Carrie leaves the dimension to see her boyfriend Inari. Now over 20, they are happily married back in Wave Country. It was true, Naruto had a new home, a family, and a place he ruled. Naruto smirked as he went to his chamber to sleep. When he opened the door, however, he found the girls waiting for him. Even the 3 goddesses were there. "Playtime, stud," Shinigami said as she grabbed him by the shirt and pulled him into the room. "Looks like I won't be getting any sleep tonight," Naruto thought as he was pulled into the room by his lovers. As soon as he did, you could hear giggling and groans. Life for Naruto Uzumaki had never been sweeter. The end. Sorry, no sequel.